You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the Black and Gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson with you here on a Monday as we have to get into it. Packers 35, Steelers 25. The Steelers drop their second straight contest to fall to 4-3. And Matt, was not a disaster from start to finish.
No.
But certainly was a different story in the second half.
1,000%. And I'll be frank, I'm going to say a lot of bad things about what happened over these next 2 hours and probably these next 5 days. But let's start with something good. Hey, you know, what might as well. I mean, if you told me that was Josh Jacobs' stat line, you know, when the game ended and Micah Parsons made a play or two, you know, he certainly did. Those were priority 1 and 2. You know, I mean, like, you accomplished some things you set out to do. And I still think the offense overall and the special teams are strengths of the football team. But, I mean, there's many other layers. And again, I you know, the Steelers were winning this game at halftime. They were winning this game at the end of the third quarter. They were running the football. They were controlling time of possession in the first half. And then a tidal wave hit, you know, of just a lot of bad things in a row. And against a good team, some of them out of your control, these bad things.
Yeah.
You know, but that happens every week. I'm not making excuses. They didn't overcome them physically or mentally or emotionally. You know, I mean, they crumbled and they let the tidal wave ruin the city, you know.
Yeah, it's one of those Mondays where feels like there's more traffic. Nobody's letting you merge when you're getting on the highway.
Right.
You know, the baristas at your favorite coffee place are all honked off and not smiling like they typically are in the morning. Because I think you're right. It went from a fun atmosphere, a highly anticipated game. You're up 16-7. You're up 2 scores, 9 points at halftime to
you're more than hanging with a very good team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? We are going to talk, Matt, we're going to spend so much time today, so much time tomorrow, probably even longer into the week, talking about this defense.
Yeah.
Where's the stars?
It's very frustrating.
What's going wrong? It's very frustrating, and it feels like it's moving in the opposite direction. Some of the things that we felt like they had been more buttoned up in the last couple weeks started going the opposite way again, like just poor tackling all over the place. At times, it looked like they were trying to play flag football or two-hand touch. Before we get into any of that, I thought, laid this out really well Friday, the Friday and the Monday that we were reacting to that disappointing loss in Cincinnati.
Okay, yeah.
Where you were like, it's easy to scream about Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and what was the secondary doing and what was the defense doing, and that wasn't good enough. But the biggest sin, you said, was allowing Chase Brown to do what he did.
I wanted to say those exact words again. I'm glad you did it. We're starting to get a little groove going, you and I like it.
But is it, for me, the biggest sin is continuing to have too many drives end off the golden toe of Chris Boswell.
Oh, I was looking at a different angle. Do you not think
that's where I was going?
No.
In the 21st century here, Chris Boswell is on the short list of most valuable Steelers.
No question.
He really is.
He's an all-time great Steeler.
He's an all-time great Steeler. He's going to lead the franchise in points. He's going to be in the Hall of Honor one day. He's been team MVP before. All these different things. He is outstanding. He is with Justin Tucker as, I think, the kind of standalone best kickers of their era.
Mm-hmm.
But it can't be.
And where would they be without him?
Where would they be without him? Absolutely.
Right.
But where would they be if they didn't need to rely on him as much as they do? Like, we talked about so much in the start of the season how good this team was in the red zone, but I don't think that has been the case as of late. And it's like, I don't even know if I want to call it.
They only got to the red zone once yesterday, though.
Only once yesterday.
They ran 3 plays in the red zone.
I think it would be too easy, too broad strokes to just say they get into plus territory, they get into the other team's half, and they go too conservative. Like, I think that's too broad strokes, but they too often in the, kind of lead up to the 20 yards before the red zone end up settling. It's a 48-yard Boswell field goal, 50-yard Boswell field goal, 56-yard Boswell field goal. And so, again, those aren't like they're getting into the red zone and kicking 32-yarders.
No, right.
But you've got to find a play. I put this down here, Matt. Where is it? Right here. Like a lot of these scoring drives where they had the field goals from Boz, 7 plays, 9 plays, 7 plays. Like, you have to find ways. You're already picking up first downs and extending those drives. Mm-hmm. You've got to get to the back of the end zone more often, because 16-7 felt good at halftime. But in hindsight, it should have been 20-7. It should have been 24-7.
I always do halftime notes. I jot down all the stats I think are most important for the halftime for a podcast I do after the game, and I write like 3 or 4 big notes. I'm like, they're in a good place, but touchdowns would have been nice.
And hey,
and that might come back to bite you.
And it did. And maybe it wouldn't have made a difference in the long. Maybe Green Bay ends up winning it at the death or something like that.
But they play different coming out of the half.
If you're up even 20-7, certainly 24-7, you're turning more of those 3s into 7s. It's a completely different game, and I think we can say that about this team a lot in the recent history, the last handful of years. A lot has changed. Mm-hmm. Coordinators have changed. Roster has changed. Quarterbacks have changed.
Strengths and weaknesses of the team.
Strengths and weaknesses of the team. One thing, this song remains the same. Led Zeppelin. They're settling for field goals. They're settling for 3s too often, and it's coming back. They've gotten away with it plenty in the past, but it's starting to bite them plenty as well, too.
Against good teams, especially.
Against good teams.
And good quarterbacks and good offenses that are going to score against everybody. That's how the league is now.
Totally.
So I don't forget. I'm not sure how I ever could forget. I thought where you were going to go with the Bengals stuff was the sin was Chase Brown. Remember how we would, just to rewind a minute, because I'm going to go to your Boswell stuff here in a minute.
Yeah.
Well, they erased that sin.
They did.
And Jacobs was a more difficult test than Chase Brown. That was goal number one.
You were right off the jump there. They did a great job in that department.
That was goal number one. They accomplished it on defense.
He had 2.5 yards per carry. We would have all signed in blood for that before the game started.
Exactly. But I'm going to say this all week because it fits the time of year. You can't give completions away like they're Halloween candy. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, like, I don't know what you do on offense, what you do on defense, but I mean, you're not going to win games when they complete 20 in a row.
No, you're not.
I mean, come on. I mean, they scored every second half possession that mattered. That's now the sin. I overlooked. I said Chase is the best in the league. Jordan got 60 on you. I can live with that. Can't live with the Chase Brown stuff. Well, now the 10th best player in the league is getting 60 on you. That's a problem. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I don't envy Tomlin, but as he has said, that's why I'm well compensated, and that's why he's been doing this a long time. He's won a lot of football games in this league. He has to look at himself in the mirror today and say, okay, do I have to coach differently because my defense stinks? Like, especially on a down-to-down basis. Like, I've looked at TJ and Cam in the eye, and I trust those guys to no end, and they've bailed me out 1,000 times. And I'm not singling them out. They've just been here a long time, and they're awesome, But does Tomlin, who, without question, is the most conservative coach on 4th downs. He will punt more than anyone out there. Now, conservative doesn't mean bad, contrary to popular belief. It doesn't mean you should just go for it every 4th down and see where the chips land. But he has to now come to the realization of, if I can't trust this defense to ever bail me out or ever get off the field or just gives away completions like Halloween candy, I can't play for field goals anymore.
No.
I mean, we're never going to win the race in the end on the point race. And, okay, Aaron, we love you. You're playing well. But still the offense isn't exactly, but definitely isn't real capable, nor are most, but this one less than most. You take a penalty, and it's 3rd and 12. You take a sack. You have a tackle for loss, inevitable bad things, but they have to stay ahead of the chains. But he might have to start looking at things like, okay, well, I'm going to need 4 downs to do it now instead of 3.
Sure.
And if
paint the barn red when you got red paint.
Right. That's the best thing we got going for us is and the beauty of those type of things is, I hate the tush push, but they're the best example is the Eagles know if I get to 2nd and 6, or if I get to 3rd and 6, I can run the ball twice. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't need 6 here. I need 4 here.
The Lions are a great example. Like, these are the best offenses in the league. Don't get me wrong. And that's where Tomlin's got to be like, well, my offense isn't quite as high-powered as those, but I might need 4 downs to get me those 10 yards, and I might have to play call accordingly. All right, 3rd and 2, I can take a shot here because I know I'm going to run the ball next time.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, when everybody's crowding the box.
Eagles as well, too.
Huge, right.
Yep.
Everyone crowds the box against Gibbs and Montgomery. I'm going over the top to Jamison Williams. And if I don't convert it, I'm still going to go for it at midfield, So I think he's going to, he's the only one that can do that. That's not a coordinator thing. That's not, that's a head coach,
Sure.
Do I have to now view this team differently? Him, like myself, like everybody, looked at this defense and thought they can be really good. They got great players. Well, they're not playing good. And when they don't get splashed, they don't win. And now, over the course of the entire season, on a down-by-down basis, they're like the worst in the league. Just success rate, they live on splash, and they're really good at splash. And splash will come again, folks. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But if I can't stop anyone and I give completions away like candy, I think you're right that we love you, Boz, but you can't be the team MVP.
That's the way that you said that, I think back in training camp or whenever is perfectly stated. And again, I know specifically in this example, and we could go through again, there's a lot of examples to back this up, but specifically in last night, it's very easy for me to do the hindsight thing.
Oh, that's the benefit we have. We're not on the sideline. Right.
I will be completely transparent. It's not like when they trotted Chris Boswell out, that trio of times in the first half, I'm up in the broadcast booth pounding the desk like, come on, you got to go for it.
Yeah. What on earth are you thinking? Right.
But it feels like, again.
And at that time, they looked like the better team.
At that time, they looked like the better team. But, man, there is such a large sample size now of 31 points not being enough in Cincinnati, 25 points not being enough last night. And, Matt, you kind of talked about.
And you have to really think that with the Colts coming to town. They score 30 like it's their job. And then
like
they're resting everyone.
Like it's giving out Halloween candy.
And they're resting everybody in the fourth quarter.
The trends, and we talk a lot about trends, right? One-offs can happen. It's the National Football League.
Sure.
It's weird things happen.
That doesn't mean you don't steer the boat the same direction.
Exactly.
You build a big plan in the offseason and you make small alterations. But sometimes you got to look at it and be like, our plan ain't working.
No, it's
not. We can't play man coverage. We can't stop people from completing passes,
And some real kind of telling stats in that regard. 4 of the 7 games this season, the Steelers have given up 30 points or more. Mm-hmm. Allowed 30 points or more in 4 of 7 games this year. Matt, they've lost the time of possession battle in 6 of 7 games this year.
Yeah.
They have
Despite dominating it at the half this week.
They have been outsnapped in all 7 games this year.
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
It's those are trends now.
These are these are basically facts at this point.
And so I think that's a very kind of, astute way that you put it. It is the classic, when you've got red paint, you paint the barn red. When you've got yellow paint, you paint the barn yellow.
You thought you had yellow paint, but you have red paint.
And that's the difficult part.
You bought yellow paint, you opened the thing, and it's like red.
Well, it's like, what am I supposed to do now?
Right.
You got to adapt. You have to do something differently. You absolutely have to. And it becomes more of a challenge now, because guess what? Your bye week's in the books. You're not going to have time to do a bunch of self-scouting and reflecting.
And we're back to losing people with injuries.
Your long week now, 10-day week from Thursday Night Football is in the books.
Right.
And as you mentioned, yeah, man, Deshaun Elliott, that is one of the last guys you want to see go down on that defense.
Yeah.
You lose a Quale as well, too.
And Ciamalu has a double ripple effect, too.
And
you just took
that's a
whole
great
chapter
point. We
of
haven't
the
even
playbook
mentioned that
and had to
yet.
throw it in the fire,
And I think that was a kind of, that was a handcuffing them a little bit early on.
Oh, yeah.
Because we saw, they threw a pass to Anderson. Was that the first series of the game or second series of the game? Early on,
Mm-hmm.
They threw the pass to Anderson. We knew we were going to see more of that. Then all of a sudden, that changes a lot for the offense. Absolutely losing Sayamalu.
Oh, that 6-0 line, huge jumbo package is kind of awesome.
It is.
That's a real find.
It's tough to game plan against. It's
really tough to game plan against.
It's tough.
Nobody
to play
wants
against.
to play like a 4-4 or a 5-3 defense.
Especially when Darnell Washington can slip behind you and take that thing for 30, 40 yards.
And remind me, I really want to ask some of our beat reporter guests throughout the week, might you promote some other O-lineman to do it? If Anderson's my left guard,
is there anyone else you trust to that level?
Is there someone you'd put at left guard and make Anderson the 6? Like, do you have to abandon the 6-0 line thing? Frankly, I don't know who that guy is that's worth putting out there. I wish there was a 3rd-round pick tackle that you're like, well, we'll try him there.
Yes, correct. It's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we're at on this Monday after 2 frustrating losses where I think in particular the defense has looked like it has.
Brutal.
Hey, if you would have told us that, what was it? Was it 26 against Cleveland, I believe, right? Was it 26-9 or 23-9 was the final score against Cleveland?
Yeah.
But regardless, out of that bye week, you were going to score 23 or 26 against Cleveland. You were going to score 31 against Cincinnati. You were going to score 25 against the Packers.
We used to make fun of the Bengals last year for having to play this way. It's starting to feel like the 2024 Bengals.
Where you got to score at least 30-some points.
Yeah, and you still lose half of them. And you go 9-8 or whatever, you know?
And Matt, you could have sold me if we're laying out all the different possibilities that could happen to this team before Halloween, right? The first 7 games of the season. You could have sold me on this defense isn't as great as we all were hoping it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's got some older pieces. You get some injuries, whatever. This defense isn't going to be elite. It's not going to be a top 3, top 5 unit in the NFL.
We could have been sold that ship sailed. That we thought this was going to be a top defense. Okay, fine.
But not to this extent.
But you had a tough time selling me it's going to be a bottom, whatever, handful.
Even half of the league. Forget,
right.
bottom 10, bottom 12, whatever.
Yeah, and it's trending towards one of the worst all of a sudden.
It is.
Right.
And again, it's one of those things where you don't need an eye test. You don't, like, the data now backs that up. And the points that they've surrendered, the yards that they've surrendered, lack of sacks, lack of splash over the last couple weeks. And it's a big concern. It's a
huge.
It's a massive concern. Listen, there is a lot of opportunity in front of this team still. We could be singing. We could be coming back from
still in first place.
We could be coming.
2 of their losses are NFC teams. I mean, there's some math stuff that works.
We could be coming back from San Diego at what would it be 6-3 if the Steelers win their next 2 games, feeling much different. Did I say San Diego? I meant LA. Sorry,
slide.
The Chargers.
Knew what you're talking about.
I was at the stadium till 3 a.m. last night. I'm on a few hours of sleep. That'll happen a few more times when we're coming back from LA on a red eye. But right now, I think there's no running from it. There's no hiding from it. It might have been easy on that Friday morning, like you said. You know what? Sometimes Barry Bonds is just going to hit some home run. Barry Bonds is going to go 4 for 5 with a couple doubles and a couple home runs, and he just had a day.
Gretzky had 6 points.
Shohei Ohtani's going to strike you out 12 times. It's just going to happen, right? But you might have been able to say that Friday after that Cincinnati game. Again now, when it starts to become a trend, when it starts to become a habit, when it starts to become a pattern, you can't hide from it. You got to. Sometimes the only way to get through it, Matt, is to go through it. Yeah. And I hope they're going through it this week.
And they have the right people to come out on the other end better for it when it all matters. I mean, yes, this is still a loss at the end of October. There's a lot of football left. I mean, you can string 5 wins together. Any team could. The Bears just came off a winning streak. I mean, like anyone can do it, but it doesn't look real profitable right now. Last thing, and completion. What is it? The completion percentage for Love was obviously extremely high. I mean, he completed 20 in a row.
29 of 37.
But there's an advanced number, and I don't want to get too nerdy, but they call it adjusted completion percentage.
Okay.
So if you spike the ball, it doesn't come against you. If you throw one away on purpose, if a ball gets batted at the line of scrimmage, they don't blame the quarterback for that. And these are NFL.com stats. These are from, the league. If you look at his adjusted completion percentage in this game, it's 91%. So the balls he tried to complete, like you don't try to complete a spike or whatever.
Right.
He completed like 9 out of 10. Halloween candy, dude.
It's too easy.
Yeah. You can't just hand them out.
Jordan Love's a good quarterback.
He's a real good quarterback. And he played great.
It's not Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
It's not prime Peyton Manning.
Right. Flacco was hot too, and right. I mean, the passing defense numbers over the past 2 games. And they're easy throws. They're all 2.4 seconds, get it out. And they're not, man, Mahomes is driving the ball on this deep out and putting it in a spot this big. They're open dudes.
Yeah. And again, it's one game, it happens.
Yeah.
Everybody has bad days. Everybody has good days. Everybody has bad days. They're humans. But
Thursday on the road, right.
Starting to become a trend and an alarming one at that. Joining us now to discuss, it is the voice of your Pittsburgh Steelers, Rob King. You, of course, hear him every morning in the locker room and on the calls with Max Starks and Missy Matthews throughout the season. Kinger, frustrating one, disappointing one, wild one there at Acrisure Stadium last night. I think a whole bunch of different ways to go. Matt and I got into some of that in the open here, and we'll kind of continue to dissect this thing as we roll along, but hasn't even been 24 hours yet. It's been like 10 hours since that game ended, 12 hours, something like that. I don't know. My math is off. But what's your biggest takeaway as we sit here on a Monday afternoon?
Yeah, it's funny because I was on DVD this morning too, and then on earlier with Matt for the program we taped that's going to run later tonight, the point after. I'm with Max in the locker room, and I'd forgotten that the Steelers really played an excellent first half of football and actually had a lead going into the fourth quarter, although the tide was turning against them even when they had that lead going into the fourth quarter. You want to try to accentuate some positives. I don't know if that's really possible. I do think that, the offense did some good things. They were able to run the football against a top run defense, the second best run defense in the league. They had opportunities, but look, man, this is a league that's about winning. And the Steelers have now lost 2 in a row, and they've surrendered a ton of points. And they just have not looked defensively anything like we expected the Steelers to look defensively, or certainly I expected them to look this year. And you look up now, they've played 7 games, and in 4 of them, they've given up 30 or more points.
Yeah, and the wrong team is coming to town in terms of producing 30 points, by the way. But we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. Rob, that show you mentioned that we do with Mike Pursuta, Mike I thought, had a really astute observation that if you had to look at one point where the tides turned, it was Love just kind of chucking up a arm punt, almost gets sacked. That could have been a very positive play for the defense. Tucker Kraft, who we warned people last week, is a fantastic young player, rips the ball down, is a man among boys, takes it down the field for a big gain, and literally, insult to injury, Elliott gets hurt on that play, and everyone's heads are hanging,
Yeah, I think they're, yes, and we thought that way last night as well, calling the game. But I will say this too, and I know the Packers are a very good team. They're one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
Have to find a way to stem the tide. And the Steelers did come back, and they marched down and they kicked a field goal. But the Packers kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. And the Steelers they didn't have enough answers. Penalties, sacks, a fumble. Mm-hmm. When you still had one last gasp to try to win the game or get back in the game late in the game, the Gainwell fumble. You've got to find a way. Injuries, right? Well, other teams have injuries too. Go back to the Bengals in week 2. They lose Joe Burrow, and they come from behind to win the game. Joe Burrow is basically that team. They've invested all that money in Burrow, and yes, of course, the receivers. I understand that, but that's what they're built to do. And then Chase Browning comes in and wins the game. So no one feels sorry for you that you have injuries. And look, I think Deshaun Elliott is a significant injury. I think the world of him as a player. I think his importance level to the Steelers defense, it's hard to overstate how important he is. There are just, Siamalu, not only is he hurt, but now it takes a jumbo package out of play. Aquale, obviously a guy that has had a good year and has been a very good rotational player for the Steelers. But you've got to find a way to stem the tide. You've got to find a way to fight back, and that's what happens in heavyweight battles with good teams. And the Steelers just weren't able to find a way after that Kraft play. There have been a couple of things of adversity, right? The offside play that wasn't the offside play where Aaron Rodgers figured he could take a shot downfield, and mystifyingly no flag was thrown. And it's not like the Steelers showed no fight. They just didn't have enough in them to stem the tide through injuries and through momentum and other things to come back and win the game.
And Rob, on that show, this is an unforgiving league, and I made the joke when we were having that conversation. It's like Goodfellas. You got hit by lightning? Pay me.
Right.
Nobody cares,
yeah, right.
and
nobody cares.
And maybe you overcome those obstacles, Siamalu, et cetera, against the Browns, but you're not against the top tier teams.
That's right. And the Steelers aren't the only team getting bad breaks. They aren't the only team getting injuries. And, you understand the fact that those are factors, right? But, factors can't be excuses. And if you're a fan saying, well, if we got this call or that call, well, that's just not the way it works. You've just got to find a way. And the Steelers, in the last 2 weeks just didn't find a way. Last week they had an opportunity early on to extend the lead against Cincinnati. Didn't do it. This week they had opportunities, even with a halftime lead, to extend the lead against Green Bay, have a bigger halftime lead, and they didn't do it. Okay, that's one factor for sure. And those aren't small factors. But then you've also got to find a way to come back and come up with a defensive stop. Last week, the Steelers, for as much as they felt like they maybe really could have handled the Bengals and blown them out early, they didn't. But they still had a chance to steal the win late. I would have felt like, hey, you walk out of Paycor Stadium with a win, you stole one. You needed to stop defensively at the end of the game. You didn't get it. So complimentary football, turnover battles, lack of splash plays, lack of finding a way to stem the tide. All these things have been part of what have caused the Steelers to lose the last two games.
Yeah, Kinger, and that's you touched on something there that I think is important, and it's a lot of people are going to be screaming and hooting, hollering, and yelling about the defense today, and I get it. I'm not saying those people are wrong. That's where the money's spent. That's where most of the all-pros and the stars of this offense are, and that's just a Pittsburgh Steelers thing. It's our birthright to have a good defense in this town and has been since the 70s, right? But they have gotten away for years now with settling for threes off the golden toe of Chris Boswell. And Matt says this best. He's said it a few times since training camp. It's great that Chris Boswell is reliable and as amazing as he is.
Thank goodness.
But I don't want him to be team MVP. They have so many times throughout the years gotten away with winning games off of good defense and the golden toe against Chris Boswell. They won the season opener in Atlanta a couple years ago. 18 points from Boswell was enough to get it done. I think that game in Denver last year, they scored one touchdown, but then it was Boswell the rest of the way. Heck, guys, they won a playoff game in Kansas City one year just off of Chris Boswell's toe without scoring a touchdown. But you kind of touched on it there, Kinger. It's 16-7 at the half. And yeah, you're feeling good at that point. You're up more than one possession, but it should have been 20-7. It should have been 24-7. And I realize these aren't 27-yard field goals that Chris Boswell was hitting. They were from 48. They were from 50. They were from 56. When you get into plus territory, when you get close to the red zone or into the red zone, they have got to find ways to turn threes into sevens more often. They've gotten away with it for so many years, but I just don't think they can anymore.
Well, I think, there's what did John F. Kennedy say? Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Well, for years, it's been, the only thing you have to ask for is your defense, right? So it's a close game, and you've got, maybe some quarterback play that isn't up to snuff, or you don't think it's up to snuff post Ben Roethlisberger. Maybe you could even say post Ben surgery. I don't know how you want to parse it up, but the comfort level was Mike Tomlin, who, remember, early on was an aggressive coach. Like he had Ben and he had AB and he had Le'Veon Bell, and he was going for two and being aggressive. And he's had faith in this defense, and it's a highly paid defense, and he had faith in the defense coming into the season. He probably still has faith in the defense, right? That is by definition what faith is: believing in something that you haven't seen, right? And so, maybe that isn't anymore. Maybe it's not ask what your defense can do for you, but what you can do for your defense. Maybe they do need to be more aggressive in going for things. Maybe it isn't punt it away and let our defense hang on to this win. And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I do know that the answer is not what we've seen the last two games. The offense has been good, but there's been moments. The defense has not really been good, and there's been moments where they could have maybe been helped out by the offense. So I don't know. I don't know, and I'm sure they're searching for answers right now. What do we do to get back in the win column? Because the schedule is not going to get any easier. You're still in first place, one victory, and we're singing a different tune. One win over the Colts, and we're singing a different tune. But you got to find a way to beat the Colts, and you got to find a way to play better football in order to beat the Colts.
Going to be an interesting 6 or so days here leading up to that 1 o'clock kickoff at Acrisure Stadium next weekend against Indianapolis. The voice of your Pittsburgh Steelers, kind enough to lend us some time here on a Monday. Kinger, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
You got it, guys. Thanks.
There he is. There he goes. Maybe the final Packers-Steelers dedicated segment of the week. We'll continue to reference the game and talk about it, obviously, but
sure.
The way that we kind of finish directly talking about it and really, dedicated segments to it every single week is, of course, with our Tuesday Rewind. And, Matt, let's start. We did the good old-fashioned radio tease thing yesterday when we said, let's talk a little bit more about safety. Let's talk a little bit more about Jalen Ramsey. Matt, what do you do at safety now if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers? Sounds like it might not be season-ending for Deshaun Elliott. That is one thing.
Okay.
We'll talk about this a little bit more with Chris Adamski next, but still up in the air if they're going to put him on IR or not. So that at least makes it sound a little more optimistic than just he's going to miss a ton of time. If they're contemplating putting him on IR or not, it's a hyperextended knee for Deshaun Elliott.
That's actually good.
That's better news than we anticipated. Yeah.
So I think I've mentioned this on a Tuesday before, but my Tuesdays are weird, and I don't get to – I'm not privileged to Mike Tomlin's press conference until we get in here and we talk about it live, which works for me because then I'm like, oh, that's good news. I just kind of react organically. You're right, right. I assumed, and I've just been operating since the game ended, that Elliott's season was over. So anything's great. I mean, if you're going to avoid IR, this is way better than I expected. Huge. I mean, that's wonderful news. But in the meantime, we know he's not playing soon.
Yes.
I don't have this answer yet, and it's something I'm excited to talk to Chris and Chris the next 2 days too. People that are down there. I'm going to be at the building on Thursday. I want to know more about Peppers. Why isn't he getting more? I think he was at 12 or 13 snaps this week. I've kind of seen enough of Clark, but he's playing a lot. A lot of snaps. And I think they must trust him more than Peppers. Killebrew's obviously not in the mix. I think Ramsey's a possibility. I think a safety from outside the organization is a possibility. Thornhill's been all over the place, too. I mean, for this defensive situation, he's been more of the problem than the solution, too. And actually, all these guys have been. I mean,
except
Peppers, I can't blame.
Except for Deshaun Elliott.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't blame Peppers, but there's a job there to grab. Why haven't you? So I don't know. I think we need to talk through it this week.
We do, and let's get into some of that now.
Yeah.
According to Mike Tomlin, the Steelers are working out Von Bell and Eddie Jackson today.
Okay.
He said if we sign them, you'll hear about it. But the biggest question to me, I think, is what to do until we know
Both
that
safeties,
for sure.
by the way, folks.
Both safeties, yes.
Thank you. Right.
Should have mentioned
I knew that. I'm not sure everybody knew it.
Both veteran safeties.
Yeah, they've had decent careers. Not exactly. They're kind of scrappy guys.
There's a reason why they're still available in late October. I think the real X factor in this is Jalen Ramsey, and what would you do with him? Would you continue to move him around, use him at nickel, put him out in the boundary, or would you just say, hey, almost, Matt, I think there's some parallels, and you and I also hit on this yesterday. It becomes more difficult now because your bye week is behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Your 10-day extra stretch after Thursday Night Football is behind you.
Yeah. Now things are going to start happening quick.
But, I keep remembering what the Ravens did last year, and they went to Kyle Hamilton after the bye week, and they asked him to just be that center fielder and stabilize the secondary.
And like Hamilton, Ramsey knows how to do that. It's not an old dog, new trick.
Exactly.
We're not asking you to play left tackle.
And so they don't have the luxury like Baltimore did of we've got an extra week here to really talk about this, study this, install this, change your role. But Jalen Ramsey's also more of a veteran at this stage in his career than Hamilton was last year. Hamilton's still a guy on his rookie deal at that time, or maybe he had just gotten the extension. Whatever, just a couple years in the league at that time. Would you consider moving Jalen Ramsey back there, if even full-time, majority of the time to stabilize some things?
Yeah, I would consider it. I'm not saying, again, that's my answer, because so there's two wild cards to me currently in the secondary. Peppers, I mentioned. I mean, I still am holding out hope that he can that he was a nice signing and can get back to where we saw him recently and be an impact player and an every down type guy. But Trice's window's also, I think, ready to be open or is on the horizon. I need to double check that too. But I think Trice could get back in the mix. And why I bring that up is if you were to move Ramsey to center field, basically your corner situation's pretty obvious. It's Slay on one side, Porter on the other, Eccles in the middle.
Yep.
Which is okay, but I'm souring on Slay. I at least want some other outside option or...
You'd probably rather have Eccles outside, but then what do you do at nickel?
Right, exactly.
Back to Beanie Bishop, who hasn't played a snap all year. I mean, he's been on the practice squad.
Yeah, I'm not even going to call him a wild card, but at least I'm happy he's here all of a sudden. You know,
sure,
that's the way the league works. I mean, you're one injury away from calling him up too. But maybe Trice could compete with Slay on the outside. But you get worse everywhere. You know, I mean, no, I'm not. I guess you're not worse at free safety. I think Ramsey at free safety is better than Thornhill at free safety.
Agreed.
But you're definitely worse in the slot, the run defense, all the Ramsey stuff near the line of scrimmage, which is why you got him in the first place. He's still really good at that stuff. And I've been asked a lot this week, the Steelers miss Minkah Fitzpatrick. And frankly, I think Minkah might get traded.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's coming back.
I don't think he's coming back here,
but
yeah.
Right. And I'm like, yes. I'm not implying that it was a bad trade, but he'd be really useful right now.
No doubt.
I mean, I always equated him to like a great hockey goalie because your defenseman can like be more Earl Thomas. Those 10 guys in front of him used to be way more aggressive because I got a good goalie behind me.
I'll make the save.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Grant Fuhrer with Paul Coffey, those type of things.
Like having a good rim protector in basketball, right?
Yeah,
the 7'3" guy.
Last layer of defense. You know, I just trust that dude.
Yep. Good rim protector in the paint.
So I do think Ramsey could be that guy, though. I mean, if you just kind of parked him in the deep middle a lot, I think you'd feel more confident about the other 10 being aggressive than if it's Thornhill. And again, I'm just talking about all this stuff out loud. I don't have this answer yet.
No,
it's a mess. I
don't think anybody does.
Right.
Maybe even down in those four walls on the south side, they tell you the same thing.
And maybe the answer to the question is Elliott not in the picture. Who are your 5 best defensive backs?
Oh, this is a good way to frame it.
You know what I mean? And we'll figure out the puzzle pieces later. But what 5 do you want on the field?
Joey Porter Jr.
And
Eccles,
Ramsey or
Ramsey.
yes and yes. I think that's those 3.
Those 3 for sure. And then
then it's
at this stage, I think you still have to put Slay, which doesn't speak great to their depth, but I think you would still have to.
And Thornhill or Clark, or maybe you hope it's Peppers.
But yeah,
you know what I mean?
It
and in that instance, Ramsey's probably
changed.
Yeah, Ramsey's a safety.
Whereas we felt like,
and I'm not sold that Slay's one of them.
I'm not either.
You know what I mean?
And going into this season, and even the first couple weeks, we were singing the complete opposite tune. Feels like you got an extra body in that group.
Exactly.
Well, now some guys aren't performing quite up to snuff, and you get another injury to Deshaun Elliott, and it feels like you're one short in that group.
Right. And I love Elliott. He's a really good player. He's been a nice signing. But his absence shouldn't hurt you this bad.
It should not tip the scales the way that it. I completely agree with. That's a good way to frame that.
Because we saw without him already,
and
it was bad. And then as soon as he goes out of the game, it's bad. Like, he's not Polamalu. I mean, he's a good player, but he's not the best safety that's ever lived.
Absolutely right.
Right.
Absolutely
it shouldn't tip the scales that much.
No, it's not at times where there was that, like the Steelers were 1-10 without TJ Watt, that stat a couple of years ago.
Right. Yeah.
His value has certainly been on display this season. But man, it should not tip the scales that much.
It shouldn't be that detrimental to everyone else.
I am completely with you on that one. Speaking of wide receivers, let's stay there. I got 2 more things that I want to run by you as it relates to the Tuesday rewatch, the Tuesday rewind. For those unfamiliar, it's just a kind of, you get a chance to rewatch the game. We go back and rewind some thoughts here in the first hour on Tuesdays as we try and put a bow on the Steelers' previous game. Let's talk about wide receivers, Matt. Arrow pointing up for Roman Wilson.
Agreed.
I'm excited about that. It's been the linear progression that we've been looking for in both his role and his production.
Yeah.
That's encouraging. I know after a loss like that, you don't, like particularly on a Monday, you're not sitting there harping on the positives. But I'm starting.
But there are some in every game.
There are some in every game, certainly. And I think Roman Wilson, 4 catches, 74 yards, his first touchdown, 18.5 average yards per catch, 5 targets for him as well, too.
Yeah.
We're starting to see the process of clearly they're trusting him to take on a bigger role, and he's grabbing that opportunity and running with it.
Yeah, and this is something from Matt Stats actually I'm going to look it up here so I get it right because I did tweet this one. And it basically reflects that they're trusting him more and more. So he ran a route on 54% of their drop back last week.
Okay.
And was targeted on about 24% of his routes.
Okay.
But he had not, this is 2 weeks in a row where he's been at 54% of, it doesn't sound like a lot, but you got to think every drop back, he's on the field running a route for 54 of them.
Sure.
2 weeks in a row, and he had never been at 40% or even 40 every game this year. So, I mean, it's back-to-back games. It's enough proof that, okay, we gave you 54% the 2 games ago. We'll do it again. You know, we're happy with what you did.
We gave you this much of the pie, and you handled it.
Yeah. I always remember, like, Pete Carroll talking about Russell Wilson whenever he was a rookie. You know, they had traded for Flynn. He was going to be the starter.
Gave him a nice contract, too, didn't they, from Green Bay?
And Wilson's this third-round dude, and he kept saying, we just keep putting more on Russ's plate, and he keeps handling it. So that's what you do, you know. Dollop of mashed potatoes, like, okay, handle the easy stuff, and now we put more, you know. And I think Wilson is getting to that point.
I think so, too, and that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Another, and I wouldn't even call it negative, Matt, with the wide receiver room, though, that I want to discuss. It's not a negative, but it's maybe just a little underwhelmed. Need a little bit more from DK Metcalf.
I know.
I want to preface this. He has not been bad. He has not been a disappointment, anything like that. He's been good. He's just a couple plays away from being great, though.
I 1,000% agree. And I've had this conversation yesterday with several other people, different outlets. I was on Mark's show. I did the show with Rob and Pursuta. And they all kind of brought it up. And it's funny to me, but it's like, because he's really close to being great. You know, like
one play a game. Goes an opposite way.
Exactly. I mean, his force is felt. I'd make that trade 10 out of 10 times.
Agree.
I mean, we're all happy he's a Steeler.
Yep.
But what if you could haul that one in, or don't let Turner rip the ball out of your mitts?
The interception in Cincinnati, and then the broken up pass on Sunday night.
Yeah, and there is a misnomer with him, and I said this when they traded for him, that people thought he was a direct replacement for Pickens. In a lot of ways, he is. I mean, he's big, strong, fast. You know, we know that. And
he's way more consistent than George Pickens.
1,000%. But he's not the catch point guy that George is. He wins differently. He often runs past people. He's not as good and few are. I mean, that's what George does better than anyone in the world.
The one-handed stab, falling backwards, or even Sports
just
Center
like
top 10
using
catch.
your big body to shield guys away at the point. Larry Fitzgerald stuff.
Box him out.
You know what I mean? And it's never been his specialty. I'm not saying he's bad at it, but some of these catch point things could have went the other way, and then you'd be like, man, we really got something here, and
100%.
You know, you're in a lot better shape. Yeah,
100%. I've loved the run after catch ability that we've seen from him that's been on display. You saw it in New England. You saw it in Dublin. You saw it against the Browns. That's a huge part of his game, and that's been huge for this offense. But it's just some of those, and that's the. I wouldn't even call
B
them
plus to an A minus.
Right.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even call them 50-50 catches. They're more like 60-40 in his favor. You know, just come down with one more of those a game,
one more of those,
and it's a completely different story. You're
1,000%
going
agree.
from a B plus to like a valedictorian.
Yeah. And I'm not asking Skoranek to turn into an A plus. We're talking about the B plus to turn into an A minus. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You know, so I 1,000% agree. And again, happy with him, but there were plays to be made that you wish he would have.
Yes.
I guess is one way of putting it. Yeah. And
Good
he's not going to make all of those. You know, no one is.
Last one for you, Matt, for my Tuesday rewind. And there's not much of a way to sugarcoat this one. You and I are not the hot take guys that come on here and call people idiots and call for everybody's job or anything like that. But I don't know how, after what you were able to do on the ground in the first half, I think you probably know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
With a 9-point lead at halftime, where you're getting the ball back out of the locker room.
You get the first possession, too.
And you run the ball 3 times in the second half.
Yeah. Warren's one of your best players, and he's doing great.
That first open, you are up 16-7.
Yeah.
You've been controlling the game. You've been running the ball well. 81 yards rushing in the first half.
Yeah. You're winning time of possession.
Didn't run the ball once on that opening drive.
Yeah.
Of the second half.
I think they
ran the
ran
ball once.
Chris, who's on tomorrow, wrote an article about this, and it was 0 on the first drive. I think 1 rushing attempt on the second drive, and maybe 1 on the third drive. And he pointed those out because.
And then you're chasing the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's different if we got throw,
sure,
and the game's over.
Sure.
I mean, when the tidal wave hit,
if you're
right?
down 9 at halftime, it's a different story.
I totally get it, but the game was very much at hand. The running game was working. Warren's really, really good football player.
You averaged 5.2 yards per carry on the night.
Yeah, yeah. And all of a sudden, you get 10 minutes of time possession in the second half because you're not running the football, too. I mean,
you set the tone with it right out of the locker room.
Yeah,
there.
I don't understand that.
81 rushing yards in the first half, just 12 in the second half. And again, you had a 2-possession lead getting the football back. That's the real malpractice part to me.
I agree.
Is the scenario of the foot up that you had and what you'd been doing well all night. And again, as you mentioned, Jalen, other than Aaron Rodgers, I think Jalen Warren's the most reliable, you know what you're getting down in and down out part of that offense.
Agreed. And he kind of has been since he's put on a Steeler uniform.
It's very impressive.
I mean, he's never really been, I don't know about that.
He's one of the more
character.
underrated weapons in the National Football League.
1,000%. I mean, again, never was I like, I'm not sure what you're getting from Warren. I mean,
never.
Ever. I mean, he's
McDonald's
out there really
number 1.
Good. No doubt.
I don't care if you're in Texas or Pennsylvania or California or Wisconsin.
Big Mac's a Big Mac.
You know what McDonald's number 1 is.
Yeah. So there's 2 things, and the coaching staff was far from perfect. The defense was nobody was perfect in that game. We know that. But there's 2 things that I really can't explain away in any way, shape, or form or understand. That's one of them, especially early in the second half, of course. You know, when you have a lead for a lot of it. I mean, Rob pointed this out. I mean, Steelers were winning after the third quarter.
Yeah. First play of the fourth quarter, they took the lead, but still, you were
errors. But yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still in it deep into the game. You know, you're right there with these guys. And this is 2 weeks in a row. My second one is this is 2 weeks in a row where Herbig's not seeing the field enough. He's great. I mean,
and I know a lot of people
have
Warren,
said, like I know exactly what it's a Big Mac. I know what I'm getting every time.
A lot of people have said he was in the doghouse after that personal foul penalty. I don't think it can be that simple. It can't be that cut and dry.
I can't believe that would be enough. I mean, he's got pretty stellar career of being a model citizen, great special teamer, do whatever you want, coach.
Don't get me wrong. In that moment, he's got to keep his composure a little bit better too. But that wasn't egregiously
smart.
Dumb. No. You hit the guy 10 yards out of, like he's sticking up for his teammate who's getting mauled by 2 Packers at center field.
Right. And he's too good of a pass rusher to say we're not putting you on. We're going to teach you a lesson.
Right.
Come on, man. No way.
Yeah. That
he needs
one
to play
surprised
a lot.
Me. He played what, like 33% of the snaps, 34, 35. That's not enough.
No,
that number needs to be closer to 60%.
And I know that's a hard puzzle to build too.
No doubt. I mean, easier said than done.
It absolutely is. But in the end, he's too good to not play a lot. I don't care how you get there. Not my job.
Right.
My job's to criticize you for not doing your job. You know, right.
I'm the guy who's doing his job. Who are you? You must be the other guy. Yeah, so that was kind of the one that I'd saved for last there. And that to me is, again, all these different things. And I was happy too. Mike Tomlin, I meant to say this in the first hour before we go to break. I want to make sure to bring this up. Mike Tomlin opened his press conference talking about we got to get 7s more than 3s. Against teams, that's the first thing he said.
I still don't know what happened in that press conference. So
against teams like that, if you're settling for 3s too often, it's going to come back and bite you.
Yeah.
That, to me, when we started the show yesterday, that was one of the first things that I brought up. It's easy to say in hindsight, and you were up 9 points at halftime. But the other thing,
my halftime notes were touchdowns would be nice. This could come bite you. You know, right?
As you and I are starting to, when you have red paint, you paint the barn red. When you have green paint, you paint the barn green. It's abundantly clear that this offense needs to score points and needs to do a better job of controlling the clock.
Yeah,
and
they might have to carry the team for a bit.
The first half of that is you need to find the end zone more than the golden toe of Chris Boswell. But the other part of that is You got to run the football, man. And you've been doing it'd be one thing if you've been struggling to do it, but you've been doing it effectively.
It's getting better and better.
It's getting better and better.
Against really good run defenses.
That's got
like the
to
Browns
be the meat.
and the Packers.
That's got to be your meat and potatoes.
1,000%. And again, don't get away from it. And it's very un-Arthur Smith-like to get away from it.
It's surprising, too.
But now, Tomlin is never going to tell us his stuff, and I did not go to his press conference, and I haven't yet, as I've mentioned 5 times, I don't know what he said. But I think he also needs to look at himself in the mirror in that regard, too, and be like, if we got to turn field goals into touchdowns, you're probably going to have to be more aggressive on 4th downs.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, punting and field goals on 4th downs.
You know what help you get there, though, is picking up 5 yards on 1st down when you run the ball.
1,000%.
You know what I mean?
1,000%, right. I think you can see the path.
If it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and you go, okay, we get 3-4 yards here. We got 4th and short. We're in great position to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to it's 2nd and 9, it's 3rd and 8.
Yeah.
It becomes much more manageable to get aggressive on 4th down if you're setting yourself up for a more successful opportunity when you do so.
And it's something I mentioned yesterday, too. Like, let's say it's 3rd and 1 and you're in field goal range or midfield or whatever. But deep down, you're going for it on 4th if you don't get it.
Take a shot.
Yeah. Rodgers to Metcalf over the top, because I'm coming back and I'm not going to settle for 3 still. I don't have to get my yard here.
Play action, maybe you hit Freiermuth up the seam. Right. I mean, there's a lot of different things there, and I do hope that we start to see some of that Sunday against the Colts.
Because the red zone stuff's gotten a lot better, too.
It has.
You're way better. They only had 3 snaps in the red zone that game. Only 1 possession.
It's not nearly enough.
No.
Again, particularly against an upper echelon team and an upper echelon offense like the Green Bay Packers.
That's the thing. If you play the Browns, you're like, well, they probably aren't going to get the 35. But you might have to start looking at your defense. Like, most teams are going to get to 35, let alone the Colts. The Colts are the best offense in the league, folks.
Especially some of these talented offenses you got coming up. Colts best offense in the league. Chargers, they got Herbert. They got weapons.
Oh, they're good, yeah.
Even a team like Chicago can score some points that you're going to have to see soon. Cincinnati, you got to see again in a few weeks. We know that they've got their issues, but they can score points. We saw that. It's certainly something that I'll be keeping an eye on beginning Sunday against Indianapolis here on a Wednesday. And Matt, I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah,
we spent plenty of time talking about the Steelers secondary yesterday. I mean, really every
put the puzzle together. I mean,
how do we put this together? Who are the best players? Mm-hmm. Would you make any moves? What happens if Corey Trice gets back into the fold here? Well, Matt, the Steelers have made a move, and Corey Trice looks like he could be getting back into the fold.
It's been a busy 24 hours in the Steelers secondary.
Certainly has, and so let's dive into it here for kind of our news of the day to open the show. Today, Wednesday, had to think about that for a second, October 29th, Corey Trice Jr. returned to practice. He will remain on the reserve injured list, but he now enters that 21-day window where the Steelers have to activate him to the active roster, or he will spend the rest of the year on IR.
9 out of 10 times they activate these guys.
Correct.
That's
they
the
have
nature.
An injury setback or something like that.
I know, like when Howard started, I threw it out there. Maybe you just want to get 3 weeks of practice because I only threw it out because it's so unusual. I'm sure Trice will get activated at some point. We can bring it up to Chris. Maybe it's not this week. Probably not this week. There's no reason to do it this week. But that's great. I mean, I think people are familiar with his work at this point. He's Joey Porter sized. If not bigger.
He's huge.
I mean, he's crazy long. Yeah, he's very talented. He probably would have been a 3rd-round pick coming out of college if he didn't have injury stuff. The Steelers take him in the 7th, and sometimes those guys continue to have injury stuff, and it never works out. And that's kind of where we're at with the guy. But they would have given up on him so long ago if they didn't think he could be something.
Correct.
That's all that matters, and frankly, he might be the starter opposite Porter next year. I mean, like, that's possible. I mean, I think that's his ceiling. Could he be – I don't think, you're not throwing Rob Woodson or Mel Blount on the roster and all your problems are solved.
Sure.
But he's a big physical man-press guy that is exactly what they need. Why not explore? I mean, just explore.
I think we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
You are absolutely spot on when they're in saying, pardon me, let's rewind that. You are absolutely spot on in saying he's navigated. He had the injury stuff in Purdue at college. He's had that again in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why they've stuck with him for so long.
The thing.
They like him a lot. You know this, Matt. It's something that we kind of allude to all the time. You and I are not in the meeting rooms. We're not privy to everything. We're not always behind the scenes.
We're not even at the facility every day like Dale was or Chris is or, right.
I'm there Tuesdays. You're there Thursdays. We're each there once a week.
I eat lunch and I record a video and I go home.
I do a Mike Tomlin press conference show with Jerry Dulac. I eat lunch and then I go home.
Right.
Well, no, actually,
eating lunch is the highlight.
I come here to do a show with you. But we also, while we are not in it.
Training camp's a different story, though. We're pretty well wired there.
Training camp is a different story. And so while we're not in it, we also obviously are privy to much more information and conversation than the average Joe.
Of course.
The amount of times that after Corey Trice was drafted, I'd be sitting up on the dorm by St. Benedict's Hall, having a cigar with our brother Craig Wolfley.
Nice, yeah.
And people would be talking about Corey Trice when they drafted him.
That's a little social area up there.
It is. That's where you get the good. That's like the gossip. That's like the gossip table in the lunchroom.
That's a cool kid table.
Exactly right. And you just hang out with Wolf and have a cigar and shut up and listen. And the year that he got drafted and then hurt, and then when he came back the next summer, a lot of times I was kind of the fly on the wall while some people were talking about how much they liked Corey Trice and how much they believe that he is exactly what you want from that position as long as they can keep him healthy. And, hey, maybe this is the final opportunity for him in that regard, but it's good timing. They could certainly use this reinforcement out of the bullpen.
So I've been with teams, and this is more so the college level, but it still holds true. We would have a meeting every day at Pitt. I remember that most because that's where, I was the longest, where we would all be, every coach would be in the room. I was a GA. I had my seat. The head coach had his seat. Our head trainer had his seat. Even our director of football ops and equipment guy. And some of those guys wouldn't stick around for the football stuff. You'd knock out stuff and then they'd go do their work. But every day you'd talk to Rob Bain. He was our top guy, doctor guy, and sometimes those guys will just tell you, I'm doing everything I can just to get in the next practice. If you want to keep risking it with them, especially at the NFL level, you're paying them,
Sure.
So be it. But I can't guarantee you anything health-wise. This guy's got something that's going to be always there.
An issue.
Yeah. Or there's no way you're going to want to give him a contract. Or, that's what they're paid to do.
Absolutely.
Or he's got bad luck. That we'll never know those answers, but the fact he's still there,
it's nothing that he's prone to. He's just had bad luck,
right? Like, man, I just feel bad for the guy. He fell on the side and whatever. He's got something that was totally fluky. Or
Cole Holcomb's injury from a couple years ago, where his own team, Aiden Hutchinson's injury last year. What I mean? That has nothing to do with those guys being injury prone.
No,
that's just a fluke.
And there's some of them. These guys are so good medically. It's like, well, he's got these issues with his right leg, so he's always going to he'll have ankles and he'll have pulled things and his back's going to get out of whack. And, I can see the writing on the wall, And the fact that Trice is still here tells you two things, that they either like him so much that if the injuries are fluky, okay, we're just going to go injury to injury. If they're not, we're going to stick around with this guy because we like him so much.
Exactly.
There's still a cost, ratio there.
Analysis.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And so with Corey Trice, who knows what it looks like long term, but the fact that he's returned to practice, I got to think you're right. This week, probably too soon. But sooner rather than later, we could see him maybe out in L.A. next week. And what that can mean for the secondary could be massive if he can stay healthy down the stretch and provide them with real quality reps and snaps and maybe help alleviate some of those concerns.
And the thing is, too, when you activate someone or trade for someone, we're going to get down that road here, too, well, someone's got to go. They don't let you keep as many people on the roster as you want. So when he gets activated, is that bad for Trice or Pierre, or is there a safety that's going to get
certainly could
the
be
shaft with Duggar showing up? Somebody's going to. You can't just keep adding people.
It certainly could be. You are absolutely right. And that is, now you don't have to do anything to change the active roster because he hasn't been added to the active roster yet. But
I hope they don't all of a sudden put Elliott on IR for, I thought we avoided that with the first press conference of the week, but that could be a possibility for Duggar too. I've seen it happen before. I'm not speculating.
Sure. That's absolutely fair to bring up, Matt. I think you're spot on there. And then let's go there. That's kind of the other big
it's a big deal
thing that's happened in the last 24 hours. Not only Corey Trice Jr. Returning to practice for the Steelers and activating that 21-day window, but the Steelers have acquired a safety, Kyle Duggar from the New England Patriots. It's a 7th and 6th round pick swap for the Steelers and the Pats. Duggar just signed a 4-year, $58 million deal last year.
Which is a bad deal.
That's a lot.
They made a mistake giving him that much.
You better be Minkah Fitzpatrick at safety if you're getting that kind of money. You combine the fact that was also before Mike Vrabel came into the equation as well, too. New coach, new defensive.
That part's huge.
That part's massive.
Yeah.
New coach, new defensive scheme. He has started 69 games in his career, and recorded 9 interceptions. That's a pretty sizable splash rate there. Matt, tell us what we need to know about Kyle Duggar. A pick swap in the 6th and 7th round, so not a massive amount of capital that you're giving us up for this guy. What's it look like for his role? What's it look like for that contract? Everything involved. What was kind of your initial reaction when you saw this news last night?
The whole biography. What is Kyle Duggar? Kyle Duggar,
an American football safety for the the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He was a reasonably early 2nd-round pick out of Lenoir, Rhine, which is I had never heard of before Kyle Duggar's name came across the Beast or whatever when I was exposed to it for the first time. A tiny, tiny school. And safeties out of tiny, tiny schools don't go in the top 50 picks. You might use a 6th, 7th round pick on the guy. But his combine numbers are insane. And at Lenoir Rhine, as you would imagine, he was always the best guy in the field.
The superstar.
Right. Everyone, who is that? And he's 6'1"-ish, about 220 pounds, and his combine numbers are astronomical. I mean, jumps, change of direction, 40. Now, he's 28, I think, 29, something like that. He's been in the league 5 years, 29.
He's 29. Yep. Thanks, TV, video producer TV.
And doesn't move like his combine numbers now.
Sure.
But in a way, remember like NURA, who Seattle took out of South Carolina? Similar. I mean, that's like what this guy was at the combine. He had a serious ankle injury a year and a half ago, something like that. And that, I'm not sure he moves the same since.
Sure.
And he's also older. I mean, none of these guys move like they did at the combine. They have a lot of wear and tear on their body. I tweeted out all his alignment data. I would say about 20% of it was at free safety. That's not really what he's done. He's done a lot of in-the-box work. He's basically a strong safety. And I'll be honest, 2 years ago, I thought he was on the verge of being an all-pro, or a Pro Bowler.
Star.
Yeah. I mean, like one of the top 10 safeties in the league. Got injured, and he's versatile, but he's not a great cover guy. I mean, he'll knock your teeth out of your head. I mean, he comes downhill and crushes people and covers a lot of ground still, and he's big, and he's physical, and he plays hard. But I think a huge key here is getting out of the Belichick-Brady world that is so overpowering in New England, I think is an obvious goal of this staff.
Totally.
I mean, and it's not easy
They
to
want
do.
to completely turn the page.
Yes. It's
write a
become
new chapter,
very obvious.
all that stuff.
Like, I didn't think Jabril Peppers should have got cut, but he was part of the old staff, and he's one of Bill's guys. And Bill wanted highly versatile players. Even like Keon White, who they traded, is a 285-pound end. Well, they run a 3-4, and he's not really a 3-4 end, and he's not really T.J. Watt or Highsmith. He's a big power 4-3 end that bumps inside on passing downs. Sure. And Belichick wants guys he can move all over. Vrabel wants Landry, and he wants his dudes. And he also, I think, he and the whole organization, and it makes sense, just wants the Belichick people out. You know, like, I don't need stories of Brady and Gronk and rings and, you know. And fortunately for Vrabel, the very short regime post-Belichick were really bad at their job. I mean, the head coach and GM did really bad stuff. So there was nowhere to go but up. And frankly, the end of Belichick's career there was really bad as a GM. You know, some of his drafting and all those type of things. But he wanted a certain type of player. Vrabel does not want the same type of defensive player, and they just want to get new Drake May running the show.
You see it in every line of business, Matt, when new leadership comes in. They want to, you know what I mean? They want to do things their way. They want to start a new chapter completely.
Especially you're following that guy. You know, like, get that shadow out of here, you know?
Exactly right. Exactly right. And so it makes a lot of sense from that standpoint. I mean, there's some same church, different pew stuff there as the Jabril Peppers move that, you know, that we just saw.
And you basically gave up nothing for him. Peppers you got for free. This is about the same. You know, you got to pay him.
You think he's got a little bit more juice or a little bit more to offer in the tank than Peppers?
I don't know, because I feel like I have an income. I was so excited to get Peppers for nothing. Yeah. And
you thought that by now he would have ingrained himself into maybe not a starter, but a regular on that defense.
I think we were talking to Adamski yesterday, and I thought the game, just like Chris did, that Clark was inactive and Peppers wasn't, that the changing of the guard had occurred.
Was that wasn't Dublin, was it? Was that Cleveland?
I think it was Cleveland.
Out of the bye week? I think so.
And apparently that's not the way they saw it, or there was some setback or something we don't know about. So my Peppers as a Steeler grade is massively incomplete. So comparing the two is tough. But they're similar. They're both more strong than free. They're both, on their best day, were knock your doors off physically impressive. They, and I hate to say this, Ramsey, Slay, Thornhill, all these guys they've invested in, Clark, you know, could they all just be not what they used to be? Maybe. You know, there's a theme here. These are guys who are all high pedigree, on their best day, were physical freaks, but their best day is probably behind them. I mean, it's a short lead, you know. Do the Steelers have a blind spot for these guys? If they do, I do as well, because I'm with them. Like, I want to bring in pedigree guys that have done well, but injuries and getting your bodies beat up, you don't last forever in this league. I mean, are they buying used cars that have a bum wheel? I don't know.
Sure, that's a fair question to ask, I think.
But they're not paying sticker price either. That's the thing. You only need one to hit out of three.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct. And hopefully one of these moves that we've discussed here will end up having a substantial impact, whether it's the return of Corey Trice, whether it's the addition of Kyle Duggar. You need another tool in that secondary toolbox.
Yeah.
You know, you need another piece in that group, I think. You could have said that before Deshaun Elliott went down, but now especially.
Of course, especially. So I do think Duggar can do some of the Elliott things against the run for sure. Like, guy gets past the first level. Elliott cleaned up a lot of that. Big, ferocious tackle. You don't love that 6 to 8 yards downfield in the run game, but this guy covers a lot of ground, and he's a physical thumper and will blast you. Now, I don't want him playing man coverage against, you know, slot receivers, and he can line up in the slot. He's not going to play a lot of single high on his own. He's going to be a strong. And I looked into his contract briefly, which is a bad deal, like I said. But the Steelers are going to pay him the rest of the year. They'll just pay him his weekly salary, which isn't too bad, you know, right? I mean, but you can get out of his deal after the season without much problem. I think he's due to make like $10 million next year, which I would be shocked if he's worth that.
Sure.
But maybe he blows your doors off and you don't opt out of the deal. Who knows? I don't know. But I like the risk.
I think for the time being, it's a fair one to take.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you pay him out the rest of the season and you get rid of him before you have to pay any big roster bonus or, you know, any type of guaranteed money, things like that aren't on the docket right now. You combine that move, you combine I guess not as much the Corey Trice, because that was probably scheduled. They've probably been trying to get him back to practice as soon as possible.
As soon as he's healthy, they were going to bring him back. Right.
But I also think both of the timing of these cannot be purely coincidental in the sense of They're turning over some stones in that secondary to try and get something to.
They're not sitting on their hands, clearly.
Yes.
You're right. And
Yes.
I would be shocked if they make another move between now and Tuesday at 4 o'clock or whatever, too. I kind of expect that they will.
Still 6 more days left in the trade deadline. That is, of course, something that we will monitor. Back on the drive here as we roll along on a Wednesday, and, of course, a big part of our Wednesday conversation is going to the phone lines and talking to our buddy Chris Halicke, covers the Steelers for DK Pittsburgh Sports. Chris, thank you for taking the time, as always, and it's been a busy-ish 24 hours for the Steelers here in terms of some moving and some shaking, particularly in the secondary. Let's start first with the name that we're familiar with. Corey Trice Jr. returns to practice, now in that 21-day window of activation. It feels like this weekend could be a stretch as he's just returning to practice here today. But do you think it's only a matter of if, not when, we see Corey Trice Jr. kind of at a probably opportune time here thrown into the fold in that Steelers secondary?
Yeah, I think I also agree. I have a hard time seeing him jumping on that moving train that everybody likes to talk about and getting activated and playing any kind of meaningful snaps this Sunday, especially when you're talking about facing the number one offense in the NFL. But who knows? I mean, they could just be like, listen, we need some change. We need something different. If they like where he's at, physically, if they don't think there's any kind of physical limitations, then, who knows? We might actually see him. But just based off of precedent, the way that Mike Tomlin has handled the younger players coming off of, something like this, something, like a longer IR stint, usually it's a little bit of a slower process back. But, either way, it's another guy to add into the mix. And right now, when you're, kind of in a, I don't want to say free fall, but when you're playing the way that you're playing right now, and you've lost games the way you've lost in the past 2 weeks, having options is not a bad thing. And getting Corey Trice back is definitely a help, because it's at least another guy you could possibly turn to if that is the solution, is to possibly change some things around in terms of who's actually out on the field.
So yesterday, Wes and I, Chris, talked about how the defensive backfield is a puzzle that's a hard one to put together. Safety in particular is a bit of a mystery to me pre-Kyle Duggar trade, and still kind of is. Why is Clark over Peppers? Thornhill seems like he's going backwards. Could Ramsey be your free safety? What do you think just of the safety position as a whole? How does Duggar fit in? And do you have any clue who's going to lose a roster spot whenever he joins the roster?
Well, I mean, they would. I would assume that in terms of who they take off of the roster, that Deshaun Elliott would be placed on IR.
Oh, really?
That would create the roster spot.
I was hoping wasn't your answer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that, verifiable from a source, but that's the way I'm leaning right now.
Yeah.
Just because, even though Tomlin said, that he's week to week, it's a hyperextended knee. I have a hard time seeing him come back in less than 4 weeks from an injury like that. If he comes back in 6, that's phenomenal. But so I think getting Kyle Duggar, I honestly think that's your plug and play for Deshaun Elliott.
I tend to think so too. Yeah. Even as early as this week.
Well, he didn't. He wasn't with the team today. The trade is not yet official. He didn't have a locker, and so
it still hasn't been announced on Steelers.com or anything.
I guess we should mention that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not. Yeah, the trade is not official right now. So he wasn't practicing with the team today. I mean, so he's not officially a member of the team. So I have a hard time thinking that he's going to play that he's going to play Sunday. Just because he's now, you talk about the moving train heading for, facing the Colts on Sunday. I have a hard time seeing maybe 1 or 2 practices he's good to go. But I think, more
Peppers, more Ramsey at safety.
I think you're definitely going to see more Peppers.
Good.
I think he's going to be more of that play. And then just talking about after Duggar is here, I think this Sunday is going to help give us a further indication, because if Duggar obviously doesn't play, which I don't think he will, then you will have some further answers on Chuck Clark and Juan Thornhill. I tend to think that when the Steelers are in their nickel, the solution might actually be to play Duggar like in that box safety, and then have Peppers play the free safety. They've played together in New England.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some chemistry from there. You have to talk to Peppers about that to see what that relationship is like. But they've played together before. That might be something they could tap into. Jabril Peppers is not my ideal free safety, but that's just me.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, but that doesn't mean that it's right. But shoot, at this point, when you talk about any kind of cohesion that you can possibly have among players, especially on the back end, and see how much it struggled this year, then yeah, I mean, if it can help, then it can help. So, but for this week, I think you're going to see a lot more Jabril Peppers, and then Chuck
That
Clark,
intrigues
Juan
me.
Thornhill. I'm kind of curious to see how the rotation is going to be, because it has been a bit of a mess.
So if you're expand upon, I mean, I know you're not like saying this is definitely going to happen, but if Peppers and Duggar are your starting safeties in nickel, I would imagine Ramsey's your slot. Porter's an outside corner, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Is Eccles over Slay outside?
It's possible.
I would condone it.
We've now seen near the end of games in 2 weeks in a row in which Eccles has really gone in and Slay's been on the sideline.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think, when it comes to a veteran player that Mike Tomlin has a lot of respect for, I don't see him just completely pulling the plug and saying, all right, Slay is completely gone. He's going to be on the sideline holding his helmet. But then again, Mike Tomlin wants to win. And
Could he be on another team holding a different helmet?
That's the legitimate solution. That's a really possible solution.
It's not
here.
crazy talk. Yeah.
It's not crazy talk, because listen, if they don't feel like that it's a good fit, and they feel like they have, they're getting Corey Trice back now.
Mm-hmm.
If they feel like they have enough corners to get the job done, and they really have a lot of faith in Brandon Eccles, and they have liked Brandon Eccles since the very beginning of this entire process. He was making impressions right away in training camp, and he's continued to make impressions. I think that's a realistic possibility. Do I think it's going to happen as soon as this Sunday? Brandon Eccles is absolutely a starter over Darius. If the defense is introduced,
Right.
Brandon Eccles going to be running out of the tunnel and not Darius Slay? I doubt it. But will Eccles play more snaps than Slay? I'm not going to completely rule it out. Yeah.
So, Chris, the Steelers obviously making a move, but we know that the trade deadline is still 6 days away. It sounds to me a little bit like you think they might not be done doing business at this point.
No. Omar Khan has been I swear, every time I run into him on the south side, he's on the phone. He's constantly talking. He's constantly doing something. But there's always the talk about wide receiver. I still think they could be looking for wide receivers and not just working out guys like Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I'm thinking they're still, looking there. But while I think that that's still a possibility, they got Calvin Austin back. Roman Wilson starting to get a little bit more comfortable. Aaron Rodgers is starting to get more comfortable with Roman. Is it as pressing of a need as it was at the start of the season? I don't think so, especially when you see how much this offense is humming with larger personnel on the field. I think the main thing that acquiring a receiver of that kind, if you're talking about a Jacoby Myers or another receiver of that caliber, it's insurance for if DK Metcalf ever gets injured. I think that's probably more of what that would be for. It just really, really solidifies that depth. And you're not, if a major key player in the receiver room goes down, you're not scrambling like they were last year when George Pickens was injured. In terms of other moves, I'm not going to rule anything out, whether that's trading away a starter that's on the team right now, But one thing that I know for sure, whether it's players they're acquiring, players they're getting rid of, whatever it is, they are making moves to get better. I mean, Mike Tomlin made that very, very clear. They're always buying. They're trying to get better. This is a team that's still in first place. We know the rhetoric that's going around with this team right now and all the outside noise, all the concern, but this is still a team in first place in its division, still in line where if the season ended today, they'd be hosting a playoff game. So they're going to continue to try to get better, build off of that. So whatever moves are made, Omar Khan is going to try to make the team better equipped to try to compete for a Super Bowl this year.
Chris, last thing I really got for you is if Siamalu is going to be sidelined for a while, obviously Anderson's his replacement. Does the jumbo package get sidelined, or does Calvin Anderson get the bump? Or I had heard some people say maybe Pete could be your left guard and Anderson could be your sixth guy. Again, still Spencer. You have any thoughts on that?
I do. I don't think that it's completely dead. I think with how much of a weapon it's been.
Yeah, so
they probably prefer to find a way. Now, I think in terms of the totality of the snaps, I think Spencer Anderson is going to be your left guard on Sunday if Siamalu can't play. However, I do think, and my first bet on this would be Andrews Pete comes in, plays left guard. Spencer Anderson kicks out, and he's the normal, jumbo, extra eligible.
I like it
that they have there. That would be the way I lean on this. Can't verify that, obviously, but that would be my guess for what the Steelers would do if they were to continue that. But I have a hard time thinking that they're just going to completely scrap it. It's one thing when the injury happens in game and you make that adjustment, like all of us, you haven't practiced it and anything like that. But
and Pete would be
inactive,
right?
Right,
have that
absolutely,
option, right.
Yeah, and he wasn't even active last week. Yeah, but yeah, that would be my guess. But I would think more than anything, whatever their solution is, would be to keep that a weapon, to not just be like, well, I just say I'm always injured, now Spencer Anderson is going to do nothing but play left guard. When it's worked as well as it has, and it's unlocked the run game the way it has, no, I don't think they're just going to throw that away just because of injuries.
Good.
Chris, last one for you before we let you go. Of course, we've covered the important stuff, but now we must ask you the very important stuff. We are about to kick off the stretch run of the end of the year of holiday season. Of course, Thanksgiving and Christmas on the horizon, but it begins this Friday with Halloween. So, Matt and I just want to know, give us one or two Halloween candies that you can't live without, and one or two that when you see them, they immediately go in the trash can.
Yeah, which ones are you stealing out of your kids, out of the kids' trick-or-treat bag?
Milky Way and Twix are the ones that
You're an old school dude, though, for a young pup.
I like it.
Yeah, Milky Way and Twix are the ones. The Starburst too. I mean, growing up, Starburst was.
It's a good answer.
Starburst was my favorite growing up. Especially
just not the orange.
No. So my daughter is like very, very protective of the pink ones. If she sees me taking a pink Starburst out of her Halloween bucket, I get the fury like a woman scorn. Yeah. No, the ones I'm throwing away, candy corn is just absolutely disgusting. Cannot stand it.
We're not coconut fans here. Milky Ways or
Almond Joy. We agreed can get in the bin.
Not big. Plus, okay, so you're talking about coconut, which already gets stuck in your teeth, and you're talking about almonds, which could break your teeth. So no, thank you.
Are you telling me Almond Joys are a deep?
Dangerous.
They're a deep state conspiracy from the local dentist association to keep everybody in line.
Seriously,
they might be. You might be on. Listen, you're the boots on the ground reporter. You might have to investigate that a little bit for us. Chris Halicke, make sure you're checking out all his work. DK Pittsburgh Sports. Chris, thank you so much for the time, buddy. Enjoy Halloween with your family, and we'll see you this weekend.
All right, thanks guys for having me. I appreciate it.
There he goes. Great stuff as always from Chris Halicke.
We overlooked the Starburst.
That's a good call.
Because it's a different world. There's no
chocolate
involved.
But it deserves a mention.
It deserves a mention because you're going to get them in your bag, right?
I think the ideal blend is like one or two good chocolate candies, chocolate bars, and one or two good like gummy,
Fruities
sweeter, fruity type
non-chocolate
Starburst,
stuff. Yeah.
Nerds, clusters. I think that's kind of the balance that we're looking for in life here.
I hear you. Yeah, the orange Starburst you can have, though.
Yeah, not very good.
It's a distant fourth.
You can now, if you go to the right store, like the right grocery store or something, or, Target or Walmart or whatever.
Can you just get lemon?
You can just get pink or just get red, or you can get like a bag of them. That's
nice.
It's real dangerous. Dangerous.
I remember when Jolly Ranchers, you could just get the lemons. I was like, oh baby. I don't have to fight through the grapes and the oranges and bleh.
You get a bag of those Starburst pinks, Matt. You sit down on the couch to watch Thursday Night Football. The next thing you look at, you're like digging into the bag and you're like, wait, it's empty. What happened?
Any orange or grape flavored candy is not my bag.
I can do orange.
And I like oranges and I like grapes, but they just taste fake to me. They don't.
Orange, I'm totally with you. I would say watermelon flavoring. I love watermelon. I think watermelon flavoring always tastes janky to me. It just doesn't taste right. It tastes fake and artificial and not like a watermelon.
I see where you're coming from, but a watermelon Jolly Rancher still makes me happy.
Maybe Jolly Rancher is the one exception.
But it's not my top 5 choices in Jolly Rancher land. Apple, lemon,
Next week on Best of the West, we'll power rank the best Jolly Rancher flavors. We had a rousing reception to our brief 5-minute Halloween candy conversation on the show yesterday, and you, for those watching on YouTube, I'm holding it up here right now, brought in some Nerds gummy clusters. We're available for sponsorship opportunities, by the way.
Call us up, right?
So great by you. You've never had one of these. Let's get right into it here in the spirit of Halloween.
I had to pick up stuff at CVS today, and I'm walking down, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go down to the candy aisle and try and see if these things really exist. So, they're littler than I thought. I thought they were going to be like big, like a giant.
No, they're almost like the size of like a stick of gum or something. You know what I mean? Like a little piece of Orbit gum or something like that.
These are rainbow. There's only one flavor. Is there a variety?
There's 2. There's rainbow and there's mixed berry.
Oh, I would have went for mixed berry.
I think I like mixed berry a little bit more, but they're both still really good.
That's all I have. I'm doing 2.
Hey, cheers.
Yeah, cheers, Drew.
Down the hatch. Pretty
Happy
good.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
TV for you.
Yep. Oh, Bob's away. You got
over all the equipment.
Listen, if you're somebody who normally watches in podcast form,
you hit hard.
You got to at least watch the start of this one here. Not too bad, huh? What are your thoughts?
They kick you right away.
Right away.
Yeah.
It's nice. You get the crunch, but the softness at the same time.
Are you chewing or are you letting it just mellow?
A little bit. I kind of take like one chomp and
I'm
then
just letting it mellow in each cheek like a squirrel.
You know what it reminds me of is like a good loaf of like French baguette bread. Crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. TV's laughing at me over there.
Chewing changes everything.
Everything.
I see the allure.
Not too shabby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that'll do it for our Food Nation, our Candy Nation radio segment of the day.
I'm gonna have more next break.
Probably have plenty of those during break. Too bad we got Labs on the phone and not in studio. We could have gotten Labs' take here. He will join us in the first hour here on a Thursday. As always, Matt, we have got...
Yeah, they're a winner, dude.
Not bad, huh?
Yeah.
I really like those a lot, and I'm sure, like I was telling you, you have a bag of those next to you, and you're watching a game or you're watching a movie or something. The next thing you're reaching down and you're like, oh, they're all gone.
You know
those went real quick.
Yeah, mixed berry sounds attractive too. That would definitely been my choice.
That's good. We'll have to switch it up too. There's still maybe I'll bring you a bag of mixed berry in here in the next day or so. But we have got plenty to get into other than some Halloween,
we got stuff to talk about.
Some Halloween candy taste testing here in our studios today. Matt, let's jump right into Matt's stats. This is typically where we begin and dive in on a Thursday. And
I got a quick Matt stats story that happened 2 minutes ago. So again, I was down at the facility today. Every Thursday, Missy, Rob, and I do a video. And actually, a couple of people down there were enjoying our candy segment, and so I brought up these gummy Nerds, and Missy's like, my kids love them. They're their favorite thing ever. And for whatever reason, Rob was whining, actually.
Typical.
Yeah, it's a big celebrity.
Diva Rob King.
Whining about his printer issues. And and as I was getting coffee right now, I get a text from Rob saying, whoop.
You're getting a lot of texts
all kinds of stuff
right
going
now.
on. That's why my alarm to order dinner. Jeez, lots going on in this segment. Not the typical opening of the drive. Anyways, I get a text from Rob as my coffee's being made that I haven't even touched yet because it's too hot. First thing I have to print out with my printer, I was losing my mind.
Matt stats.
Let's go.
Of course. I love it. Yes, it is. There are some who are privy to this information, although now it's all on Steelers.com as well, too, for those who want to read it themselves, follow along, take notes, whatever the case may be. And, Matt, I want to start here with you. It was the kind of your stat that I teased at the end of last night's show.
Ooh, okay.
And we said it was about the Steelers' defense and how you can kind of slice it two ways. You can look at this as encouraging or as concerning. And here's what it is. The Steelers' defense, points allowed by quarter, 3.7 in the first quarter. That is 12th best in the National Football League.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. Little above average.
That might even surprise people. That's slightly above average.
Second quarter, 5.7 points allowed. That's 10th best in the league.
Getting better.
Getting better.
I mean, that's definitely above average.
Above average, top 10. Third quarter points in
this must be
the
bad,
league.
Right?
3.9.
That doesn't sound bad.
8th best in the National Football League.
What's the problem?
That's really good.
Top 3 quarters, you're well above average.
Matt, well above average.
Well above average.
Matt, the fourth quarter, they are dead last. 32nd out of 32 teams in the NFL, allowing an average of 11.7 points per fourth quarter. They are the only team in the league that is above 11 points per fourth quarter allowed.
Yeah, and I think there's 28 that are below 10. So this is kind of a distant last.
Yes.
And to sum it up, 47% of their points come allowed in the fourth quarter. 47%. That's really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, for that quarter.
It's not good.
So I put this on Twitter, and Sports Chasers wrote back. He was like, that seems like a well-defined problem. And I'm like, that's a really good way of putting it, because we know it's a problem. We know the points allowed period is a problem. I mean, well over 30, last 2 games. But I think I'm kind of like happy about it though, too. It's like, well, it's always that doctor's office thing. I'm like, hey, well, I let up too many points.
I hear all your symptoms, but what's our diagnosis?
Yeah. Well, your blood pressure's too high. You didn't know, whatever. So how can you alleviate that? I think there's several reasons. I mean, and the people inside the walls would know 1,000 times better than me, but watching every game, and just if you told me about Carnegie Mellon's doing the same thing, I'd say the exact same thing.
Sure.
Immediately, I would say fatigue. Playing 60 minutes and 4 quarters of football is really hard. But to take it up a level with the Steelers, we know they're not young on that side of the ball. I wouldn't say that they're riddled with injuries and super lean or anything, but they're on the field way too much.
Yes.
So from that perspective, I think you have to look at it as a team problem now. Well, how can we help our ailing defense? We need to sustain the ball a little bit more on offense. We need to run the ball maybe a little bit more. That doesn't mean you don't abandon the run or anything like that, but you might have to emphasize holding the football longer on offense, and maybe your defense holds up longer. Now, this isn't uncommon in the league. That's an extreme case, and that's a problem. But often late in games, especially against great quarterbacks, the dam breaks. We've seen many instances.
Totally.
Whoever has the ball last is going to win.
We saw this. What I mean? Shoe was on the other foot when you had prime Ben Roethlisberger.
No question.
How many times the Ravens would be frustrating the Steelers, and then in the fourth quarter, gotta have it. Here comes Ben and Santonio or AB.
Right.
And they find a way to score when they have to.
And clutch is certainly a real thing. Like, people have written articles in football, clutch doesn't matter. Of course it matters.
Absolutely does.
But it also is smart quarterbacks, coordinators figure stuff out as the game goes on. And they don't allow the defense to just hit pause and run and do a new practice and install a new game plan.
Exactly right.
So this is true for Rodgers' career and as a Steeler. I mean, like, fourth quarter's harder to play defense. You're more tired. Fatigue favors the offense. You're coming off the ball, your reactionary position. But in this case, it's so extreme, I think you have to look toward the collective defensive age and do whatever you can to remedy that. And kind of what I was saying, too, is it also looks like you're getting figured out. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
I think the coaches need to look at things and be like, maybe it's not perfect through 3 quarters. I mean, I'm not saying that they're the 76 Steelers through 3 quarters. We've all watched the games. But these numbers, I think, are massively reflective on diagnosing the problem.
Shouldn't be that bad.
I can live with the first 3 quarters more than. We'll win a lot of games being 10th in points scored, through three quarters. But what am I doing wrong in the fourth quarter as a play caller, as a designer, or putting my players in the position to succeed? So I was kind of happy to see this. To me, this is better than...
In a weird way, it is kind of comforting.
Yeah, it's better than being 25th, 23rd, 22nd, and 26th. Like, you're bad all the time. At least
you're not
can...
wandering through the wilderness, like looking for a roadmap here. It's laid out right in front of you.
Here it is. Here's your problem. Right. I went to the doctor. The doctor said, you're limping. Well, it's because this certain tendon isn't working. Okay, well, how do I get that tendon working? All right, now we can figure it out from there.
We don't have to amputate your leg. We just have to fix this one issue.
This one issue. Now, I'm not trying to blow smoke that all of a sudden the Steeler D is going to be great.
No.
I don't even know if they're aware of this. But I'm sure they are. But to me, that was kind of very enlightening, but also kind of encouraging. How can we lighten the load on Hayward, Watt, Ramsey, Slay late in the game? Maybe you have to go for it more on fourth down to extend drives. Maybe you have to do a fake punt once in a while to steal a possession. Have your offense help the defense, because for the last 8 years or whatever, it's always been the opposite.
Correct. And I know anytime we have a conversation like this, we immediately get tweets and comments of like, how can you put blame on the offense? They're doing their job.
I'm not blaming the offense.
We're not blaming the offense.
It's a team game.
It's a team game, and the
special
offense,
teams has to help them. The water boys have to help.
Field position has to be better. Certainly,
yeah.
the water boys. Yeah, get some more electrolytes in that that water there. But Matt, we also I read you the numbers on Monday. I think it was that the Steelers have been outsnapped in all 7 games, and out time of possessed in 6 of 7 games.
Exactly. And we've been harping on time possession for 2 months now, and it's a problem.
It's not, and that I think some people hear that and they go, "Well, you're blaming the offense." That's not the case at all.
No.
But maybe there's also something to be said of, like we talked about again, running the ball 3 times with Jaylen Warren in the second half, running the ball once in your first 2 possessions.
Right.
Like
complementary football.
And so while the offense has, without a doubt, been the better unit for the Steelers this season, I don't think you can even deny that.
Right.
I think they could still be doing a little bit more in this regard. That's not to blame them or shift anything from the defense.
You guys are good. You can help bail us out.
Right. It's looking at it as a positive. Like, you can bail. We're so used to the Steelers defense bailing out the offense. Now the shoe's on the other foot.
I'm terrible at finances. My wife's a banker. She does the books. You know what I mean? Like, play to your strengths. Do what you do well. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. So, and obviously the crux of the blame is, and this is a stat that I've cited a lot the last 2 weeks, is plays per drive. The defense is like last.
Yes.
So you can't have these long drives. And I know we got to roll, but time of possession, you can live with losing it once, twice. But as the season goes on, that snowball gets massive and just mashes the whole team.
100%. And like you said, especially
injuries will start popping up, and
especially when you've got a veteran, a little bit longer in the tooth defense. Mm-hmm. That all makes a ton of sense. Matt, I want to continue talking some stats, talking these Indianapolis Colts with you. 7-1, 4 straight wins, best record in the NFL, best running back in the NFL this season.
Yeah, maybe best offensive player.
One of the better offensive lines in the league. A tight end that is having a historic rookie season.
Absolutely.
Like Ditka and Brock Bowers are the only people that have put up numbers like Tyler Warren is right now. And a ton of weapons, as you alluded to yesterday, at the wide receiver position. But what scares me a little bit about the Colts is they also have the 6th best scoring defense.
Oh, I know.
In the National Football League.
Yeah.
So it's not just that they're lighting people up on defense. They have a very opportunistic it's not just they're lighting people up on offense. They have a very opportunistic defense as well, too. +8 in turnover differential, 2nd best in the National Football League.
They cause them and they don't turn it over.
They cause them and they don't turn them over. They only have 4 giveaways, better than everybody but the Packers and the Eagles. One thing, though, that they haven't been the strongest in a department either is time of possession. Now,
Yeah, I wanted to go down that road.
Part of that has been more because how successful they've been on offense.
Sort of. Sometimes they score quick.
Sometimes they score quick. But,
Right.
like, for example, last week against a bad Titans team, they possessed the ball for just a little over 25 and a half minutes. Now, they still won by 24 points.
Sure.
So dig into that for me. Is this the right opponent? Is this the right opportunity for the Steelers to get that the whole conversation we just had about getting out snapped and time of possession to get that moving in the right direction?
That's my biggest glimmer of hope, and it's more than a glimmer, but that's for this game, is first off, this defense reminds me a lot of our Minnesota Viking conversations because Lou Anarumo is very unorthodox. I don't think they have great players. I don't think they have bad players. I think they have average defensive talent. Buckner's a star, but he's not Aaron Donald. I mean, he's a really good player.
He's been a very good player throughout
he's
his
a
career.
Cam Hayward type guy, stalwart. But they create a lot of issues with scheme and dropping defensive linemen, like Latu, the first-round pick from 2 years ago. He has 2 interceptions, because he's dropping into spots where the ball's going to be. Like they outsmart people with scheme, which, frankly, I'm going to take my chance to take a shot at the Bengals. Bengals had to get rid of this guy because their defense was so bad, and they're going to dummy it down, and the defense got worse. Pretty clear that was not the coordinator.
And he's doing pretty well in Cincinnati.
Yes, pretty clear.
In Indianapolis.
Yes, exactly. Because frankly, Indianapolis was the total opposite. They were last couple of years. They were Pete Carroll, Legion of Boom, cover 3 more than anybody in the league. And I guess their defensive coordinator and Steichen are like best men at each other's weddings. And it was like, hey, you got to fire your best bud. And it worked out better for the Colts, frankly. Okay. But one of the other stats in there that I think is really telling that obviously reflects the time of possession things that you mentioned was, how I always put Team X turns a set of downs into a new set of downs or a touchdown X amount of time.
Yes.
Well, I forget who the 2 worst defenses in the league in that regard are, but the ones tied for 30 are the ones playing in this game. It's the Steelers and the Colts.
Okay.
So you could believe that with Steelers. We just thought Steelers are always on the field. They allow these guys to keep turning sets of downs into new sets of downs.
Sure.
You would never think that from the Colts, though. They do. I mean, when you get the ball, they allow a lot of long, sustained drives. You got to be the winner in that department for this game.
Have to.
I mean, and not just like 30 and 30 seconds to 29 and 30 seconds, like 35 to 25. You have the ball the whole time. Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor on the sideline frustrated, And that doesn't mean you don't pass the ball, but I think time of possession is more important in this game than ever. And one other note I just want to make with their defense. If you look at all the position groups on this team, corner is clearly the weakest. And Tre'Davious Ward's a guy that they counted on. He's hurt. Howard retired. He was a starter on opening day. And then they've had another injury as well. So it's going to be a tightrope act, but I think you have to attack the corners, which doesn't always play well for time of possession. You always got to win a turnover battle in a game like this, but you also need to run the ball and control the clock.
Sure.
But I mentioned Anarumo, the defensive coordinator, and I think he's really, really good. But Arthur Smith has done battle with him several times a year when they were in Cincinnati and Pittsburgh together. And much like Flores, I trust Rodgers mentally more than any quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
So can you guys be at your best against this defense and hold on to the football and don't settle for field goals? Then you're in it. That doesn't mean you win it, but then you're in it because you're going to let up points. Everybody does.
The Colts have scored 30-plus points 4 games in a row in 6 of their 8 games.
Right.
I mean,
they're the best offense in the league.
They're the best offense in the league. They're going to score some points. They're not turning the ball over. That, to me, is a real – I don't even know if I want to call it an X factor because it's maybe at the forefront.
Right. It's the first factor. I mean, it's
the first, exactly
right.
If
we got to go all the way down to X, it's A. I mean, it's the first thing you got to do.
A Steelers defense that has been so reliant on splash plays.
Mm-hmm.
A Colts offense that minimizes negative as well as anybody.
As well as anyone, right. I mean, there's really few tackles for losses, very few sacks. Somewhere in there, too, is Jones, I think, is first in combining interceptions and sacks taken. I mean, he's right at the top of the league. He might be third. I mean, but he's one of the best in the league of combining sacks taken and interceptions thrown. He's elite. So chances of really splashing these guys to death, probably pretty minimal.
Very minimal.
Yeah. Less than most teams.
This one, too, really stuck out to me in your weekly stats packet. Colts are the first team in the Super Bowl era. That's like a 60-year sample size.
It's a long time.
Pretty significant. First team in the Super Bowl era to allow fewer than 10 sacks, fewer than 5 turnovers in their first 8 games of the season.
Right. And in most years, that's half the season. Yeah, I mean, now it's slightly under half, but, you get the point.
And that's how you win as you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, is by forcing turnovers and getting after quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly. So, contrary to popular belief, the Steelers still do rush the passer really well.
No doubt.
Sacks per game, they're near the top of the league still.
No doubt.
It's been
and
a little
tied
dry.
with the Colts for second most in quarterback hits, only behind the Broncos.
Right. And Steelers didn't have the bye, and the other two teams did.
Yeah, that's a good – yeah.
So, they're hitting the quarterback as much as anyone. So, that's going to be harder to do. But that's also your strength, is getting after quarterbacks, and you can't almost get the quarterbacks. The last 2 weeks, they've been awfully – like the Kraft play where Elliott got hurt. I mean, you're there. But horseshoes and hand grenades,
Horseshoes and hand grenades, absolutely. Colts plus 14 sack ratio on the season. Steelers plus 10.
That's one of our big indicators.
It's
absolutely,
absolutely,
and they're both good at that.
Absolutely is. One thing that really worries me is this is another kind of ongoing theme thing that you and I have discussed. Steelers now -21 in explosive play differential. Sunday night against the Packers certainly did not help in that department.
I'll be honest. I don't know where that ranks in the league. It can't be high, obviously. I mean, it's near the bottom, obviously. Yeah. I mean, because half the league's going to be above 0 and half's going to be below. But I just keep a spreadsheet and I tally them myself, old school way. And I look at each game, but it has to be at the bottom of the league.
Has to be.
I mean, it has to be. The turnover differential's okay. Big picture.
Yeah.
Sack differential's
good.
Good. But big play differential's real bad.
All right, Matt, how about for something encouraging from a Steelers department?
Yeah, there is more than people think, by the way.
The Colts allow at least 1 first down per opponent possession. Nearly 80% of the time, 79.7% of the time. That's 30th out of 32 teams in the NFL. Now,
that goes back to what we were saying. They allow big, long, sustained drives.
Bad news, though, is the Steelers are slightly worse. They rank 31st just behind the Colts. It's 79.9% of the time. But, Matt, that to me, again, in this whole ecosystem of, everything works in concert in football. It's all complementary football, that term that we use all the time. Who can keep their defense off the field the least? Who can extend those drives? Who can put together 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 play drives?
Convert on third down.
It feels like both offenses
Maybe
have
a fourth and short, you go for it instead of punt, if
you
got to sustain the drive.
If it's 4th and 3 at the
midfield or whatever.
What even was it, though, on Sunday against the Packers? It was 4th and 3 at the 32-yard line, I want to say.
Field goal range,
If you're going for it in that regard this time.
Maybe get 3 more minutes of time of possession, and my defense thanks me, and they're fresher in the fourth quarter,
But that's kind of one of those game within the game, and we highlight a lot of the things that the Colts do well. But this is an area where both teams struggles.
Yeah.
And if you can have the upper hand in that regard, that to me will be a real indicator, who the time of possession is always important.
It is.
But it hasn't been, again, as we alluded to, at times for the Colts. Like they had less than 26
they're not
minutes
great at it, yeah.
and blew out the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
You need to keep that dynamic offense off the field. And if you can't do it by sacking Indianapolis Jones, if you can't do it by limiting Jonathan Taylor, forcing turnovers, limiting Tyler Warren, splash plays, then you have to do it with that Steelers offense. It has to be, we have to see 6, 7, 8 minute drives of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 plays.
So I'm close, but usually in an NFL game, there's 17, 18 total possessions. Some of them might be a kneel down at the end of the half. That's 2 seconds, whatever. Say 8 or 9 each.
8 or 9
Sometimes
each.
you get to 10, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you could make it 15, well, you got a better shot.
Much better.
You know what I mean?
Huge.
And this isn't one for one, but I use this example all the time, too. Shortening the game against a better opponent is always a good idea. If this was Mahomes, if this was Allen, you want to do the exact same thing.
To wear out the shot if you're playing against Steph Curry and the Warriors, wear out that shot clock. You know what I mean?
That's the example I use all the time. Like, could I ever win a 3-point contest against Steph Curry? Of course I can't. But if the rules were the first one to make one, I might. If it's first one to make 100, I'll win 0 out of a bazillion. But if it's first one to make a three-pointer,
maybe he misses and you make it.
I might win. You know what I mean? Just shorten the game.
I might win. I mean, still probably not, but I would at least have a chance.
Right.
And then, Matt, one thing that the Steelers did very well early in the season, but haven't done well lately, is reaching the red zone. Just one time against the Packers. We discussed that on Monday.
3 snaps against the Packers in the red zone.
Only
stalling in that high red zone area.
That's the thing. Yeah. In that 30 to 50-yard range.
Yeah.
Only 22% of Steelers drives have reached the red zone this season. That is 5th lowest in the National Football League, 27 out of 32 teams. Only 4 offenses were, 28th out of 32 teams. Only,
I think we're convinced, you brought this up in the summer, that they are better in the red zone. They used to be bad in the red zone with Duck and Trubisky.
They've been much better. There's one point early on in the season
really
they were like 7 of 8 in the red zone.
Right,
in their
they were best in the league after the first month.
First couple of games, yeah.
Now they're just not getting there enough.
That's the thing to me, and that's another one of those. If you're at the 30-yard line and it's 4th and short,
maybe you got to go for it.
Maybe you got to be a little bit aggressive. But
exactly.
That to me, they did a solid job, particularly in the first half. Not as much in the second half, but they did a solid job of moving the football against a good Packers defense.
Just a lot of field goals.
Just a lot of field goals, and it wasn't 23-yard chip shot field goals, 31-yard field goals.
Right.
They have got to find a way to get one more first down and get into the red zone.
Exactly.
Because once they've gotten into that area with Aaron Rodgers, with Aaron Rodgers' game brain, with the size advantage they have with guys like Metcalf and Washington, they've been able to create some matchup problems when they get down into that shrunken field space.
And unlike other years, they're throwing the ball across the goal line as opposed to running the ball across the goal. It used to be give it to Najee 3 times and pound away and hope for the best.
Absolutely. Well said. But yeah, that number to me was kind of glaring when you consider that they've been successful in the red zone, but only 22% of their drives, less than 1 out of 4, are getting to the red zone.
And if you're not running enough plays to begin with, and they're not enough of them red zone plays, just a double whammy, right?
Just under 55 plays per game for the Steelers offense. That's 31st out of 32 teams in the NFL.
That all goes back to time possession and getting the defense off the field and beating Steph Curry to 1 as opposed to 1,000. You know what I mean? Right.
Again,
this isn't rocket science.
The diagnosis are as clear as can be.
Yeah.
I mean, the X-ray machine is up on the board,
right?
And you're standing there with the doctor, and you got this issue and that issue. And
I think we're doing some good doctor stuff here Now the patient has to go execute it, and you and I can't do that. That's for sure. But
you said you don't have much of a financial background. What's your medical background look like there, Matt Williamson?
Worse,
Dr. Williamson. Worse. As opposed to the Indianapolis Colts leading the league 33.8 points per game. They average, this is nuts, 42.3 yards per drive, 0.4 touchdowns per drive, Matt, which is just kind of crazy impressive. Again, it's for what their offense is doing, not being not the greatest show on turf or anything like that.
It's almost a flawless offense. It really is. And
that's a good way to put it.
I've been pumping this up lately because I'm new to it this year, but the J.T. O'Sullivan quarterback school that he does, he broke down, some of them you have to pay for, some of them you don't. If you do every snap, you have to pay for them. Some of them he just does like briefs. And he did Daniel Jones. So that came out yesterday. I think I threw it on Twitter just to help him pump it up, and I thought some of the fans would like it. But it's pretty impressive. It's not, this guy's getting lucky, the bust from the Giants. Now, he's making serious throws, and he's throwing with anticipation, and he's fitting the scheme. And much like Darnold and Baker, when they got to the right place, he's playing really good football and has leveled up.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, he is. That's a great example.
This is not fluky.
He is in the right place.
Yeah.
It's not.
They're going to give him
fluky.
$60 million in the offseason to be their starter.
Yes, exactly right. But hey, last thing here before we go to break, get to our buddy Bob Labriola. You said this. A lot of people said this last week. Never underestimate a professional athlete that's been embarrassed.
It's Merrill Hodge.
That's Merrill Hodge's
Mike
line.
And I steal it from him every week.
You and Pursuta and Labs, and I heard Dulac say it in the pregame show as well too. Steelers defense allowed over 450 yards of offense in back-to-back games for just the second time in franchise history.
Franchise history.
That's like a 90-year history of the Steelers
Right.
franchise.
I don't know if they were charting it in 38.
It's a good point.
But, yeah,
Good
and
point.
probably nobody was putting up then.
I don't think anybody, if you were putting up that kind of offensive numbers
Right.
back then.
But even if it's in the Super Bowl era, long
Crazy.
time.
Crazy. Long time. I would, it's a tough spot. But if you can respond and you can perform against this offense, you can carry that forward for the back half of the season.
That's the thing. I mean, yeah, this looks bleak, and I expect Colts to put up a ton of points, but it's also an opportunity. Like maybe you step up and you slay the dragon, and all of a sudden on Monday we're like, oh, I remember this defense.
Yeah.
That happens in this league.
Absolutely.
Don't write the story yet.
Absolutely does. That's a great call by you. Some unfortunate news, Matt. Deshaun Elliott and Daniel Aquale. It's happened. We speculated.
I know. Yeah.
But they have both been placed on injured reserve. So we'll see what that means for the rest of the roster. There will obviously be corresponding moves with that. But for now, unfortunately, that's
Duggar
official.
takes one spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. That's kind of a one-for-one swap there. Now the question obviously becomes how long are those guys going to be out? Is it going to be 4 weeks on the IR and then they can try and return? Or could it be something longer term? Obviously not great there, Matt. But that is life in the National Football League, and the Steelers defense, a big week, a big challenge. That they're going to be a little shorthanded as well too, particularly on the back end of that secondary.
Yeah, real quick on Aquale, I'm a fan. I wasn't real blown away when they signed him, but he kind of won me over. When Harmon came back, though, not that he's been phased out, but he's never had quite as many snaps as I would have guessed. I mean, he's always been like 8, 9, 10, especially with Harmon in the mix. So he's a loss, but I get the impression he's probably out for the year, is the way that they made that sound, that he's not a temporary deal. We could keep an eye on Elliott, though. I mean, like some reports, I don't know what to trust. Like some are like, oh, this could be really long. We know it's 4 or more.
At least
4 isn't the end of the world. More is.
Or,
I mean, it's not end of the world, but it's not great.
No, it's not great. That would, that does take him out until the end of November.
Right.
That means he'd miss that game against Buffalo after Thanksgiving, which of course will be one where you'll really need that secondary in tip-top shape. But certainly something we will keep an eye on. But unfortunate, again, we kind of saw it coming. You could read the writing on the wall, read the tea leaves. But now it is official with those two moving to IR.
I really am interested what the safety allocation of resources is going to be.
Me too. And maybe as we kind of start talking about matchups and all these different things here, hold on, Matt. Let me hit the sounder so we can make it official, and then we'll really dive into this.
It's a 5-star matchup because we're in it.
5-star matchup. Everybody we play is a 5-star matchup because we in it.
And Matt, I know this isn't a specific matchup, but it's got to feel like that Colts offense. Steichen, Danny Dimes, Tyler Warren, all those wide receivers. Doesn't matter who's lined up at safety, we're going to attack them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is what coaches do, folks. You watch the tape, and frankly, there's not a abundance of places not to attack right now against Steeler defense.
Fair point.
I mean, there's plenty of spots to say, well, we're going to test that. We're going to test that. They haven't handled this adjustment well, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we know that there's issues. But I got to think priority number one is, boy, Elliott was a pretty good player for these guys. And the other safeties have been in and out of the lineup, inconsistent, not real playmakers. You go back and watch the tape when Elliott was out, so you have something, just to you proof right there. Right.
There is plenty of sample of that this year earlier as well, too.
So I absolutely think that we are going to attack those safeties, and most likely with Warren. But also with deep routes, Pierce goes deep like no one else in the league, getting anyone you possibly can. And my hunch is when there's 4 defensive backs on the field, I think it'll be Ramsey at safety, Porter and Eccles.
Ramsey at safety, Porter and Eccles. Okay. Yep.
And some other
safety.
That's what I'm not even sure who safety 1 is at
Peppers.
This point. I kind of hope
Duggar.
It's not Clark. Is that asking too much out of Duggar immediately? Peppers is my favorite of the group, but the game he played a lot when Clark was inactive, I thought he was a real asset, played well, and was noticeably better and certainly more athletic than Clark. But since then, he hasn't played much, which I don't know how to read those tea leaves. And Thornhill's still in the mix, too. And my hunch, and then it brings a question of, okay, what about when you have 5 defensive backs on the field? Well, Ramsey, Eccles, and Porter will be 3 of them. Will Slay keep Ramsey at safety and have it be your third corner? Because I think Eccles has gone past Slay. I think people probably caught on to that at this point.
Yeah.
Or is Slay that much in the doghouse, or maybe even inactive, that Ramsey becomes your slot, Eccles goes to the outside, and 2 of these safeties we're figuring out are your safeties? I just don't know. I'm just going to be really intrigued to see right off the bat.
There's not an easy answer, obviously.
It's not the easiest puzzle to build.
It is absolutely not the easiest puzzle to build. In fact, it's probably a more challenging one than most to build. I did want to, by the way, Missy texted me this, so big shout out to her. Remember with the personal day for Darius Slay yesterday, there was a lot of speculation, what's going on there, all these different things. He went down to Houston. It was his son's senior night for his high school football team today.
Okay.
So he flew down yesterday to be with his son for senior night and all those things. That's what his absence was for. So it
fair enough.
Fair enough. Something that, again, a lot of people had been speculating about. I thought it was good to just kind of put that to bed.
I'm not stirring the pot, and that doesn't sound fishy to me at all. That sounds absolutely fine. That is a fine excuse to miss a practice in the middle of the week, in the middle of the season. But would everybody have gone? I don't know.
Hey.
I'm not trying to stir the pot.
Sure.
If it was Aaron Rodgers' son, I don't think he'd have been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't know. Yeah.
I get what you're saying in that regard, but a nice follow up there from Missy, at least to some of the where.
That is good to know, though.
For Slay and his kind of listed as a personal day, I believe it was on the Steelers' Thursday practice
Which
report.
did raise some red flags. Like, oh, that's weird.
And again, with the timing and the trade deadline and all these things,
Trice
I think there was
right.
Trice looming. There was some fair speculation there, I think, but that at least is some rhyme to the reason. Matt, it's I don't know. Do I want to go to the trenches here next? Let's stick with the secondary since that's what we're talking about. Obviously, the talented wide receivers. But, man, it feels like this Steelers team, and we just saw a perfect example of it Sunday night against Tucker Kraft, your boy, has struggled against tight ends, and now maybe the guy who was the most reliable in that department, and Deshaun Elliott, is no longer there. Not only is Tyler Warrington talented, not only have the Steelers struggled in that department through the first half of the season, they also do a lot to just scheme him open as well, too.
Oh, yeah, they're really good at it.
It's not just running past people. It's not just in and out of his routes and in timing and things like that. He also finds himself wide open a couple times throughout a game as well, too. How are you matching up against him? What are you looking for from him? How can they go about limiting, again, a guy who is putting up rookie tight end numbers that have only ever been done by Mike Ditka and Brock Bowers?
Yeah, and to go back to the draft even, Loveland from Michigan went ahead of him.
Yes.
They were 2
high tight end picks last year.
Yeah, they both were between 10 and 15 or whatever overall. So they were high picks. They weren't super, super high, but they were pretty high picks for a tight end for sure. Now, one of the reasons I believe, I'm pretty much certain of it, Loveland was better in college of beating one-on-one matchups. And Michigan didn't have a ton around him. He had to beat man coverage a little bit more than Joe Average college tight end at the end. His last year, not the they won it all with McCarthy. And he was just better refined route runner beating man coverage. Where Warren, even at Penn State, to their credit, to his credit, he's a great player, schemed him up more. We're going to get him designed touches. You guys all make it easy on Warren to get the ball in space. And the Colts and Steichen have done a remarkably good job of translating that from college to pro.
Yes.
With all respect to the Big Ten, it's a lot different.
It is. The Big Ten plays good football, but it's not the AFC and the NFC.
No. Everything's a little different.
Just real quick, I laugh. You see this every year. If Ohio State played the Jets, what would the line be? Jets minus 35. Get out of here with that.
Right.
That drives me nuts.
Even if it was the U back in the day, when you look at the roster and be like, there's 30 future pros on here. that still lose
against
to the
against the
32nd.
Browns teams that won one game in 2 years, like the 0-16 and the 1-15 Browns.
They would lose every time.
They would be a 4 or 5 touchdown underdog.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
it's just get out of here with that.
And there's times they maybe even have better athletes. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Not at all.
I don't have a great answer for Warren either. Again, there was a bright spot. I thought Peyton Wilson played well.
Yeah.
And he's going to linebackers have a lot to do with that as well.
Is that going to be his kind of task number
Maybe.
one on Sunday?
I mean, I think just physically the way they look and the way they run and his height, he's not a bad matchup for him. I don't know how much you ask of Duggar. I tend to think as a whole we might be drifting further away from as much man coverage as we've seen. And we haven't seen a lot of press, but they are a pretty high percentage man coverage team. And it just isn't working that great. Not that the zones are beautiful either, but it's probably going to be a group effort, as it always is. You got to tackle better, and you got to be better with your assignments and recognition. But you do have Wilson, Duggar, Peppers, who really haven't been the culprits. I'm not saying that the two safeties are good or bad. We just haven't seen much of them, but you could have new people doing it.
Then that, Matt, leads to me of you better win in the trenches in this game.
Yeah.
Both sides of the ball. But particularly for this Steelers defense, because if Jonathan Taylor is running wild, again, to use your Michael Jordan analogy, he can score 25 points.
He's gonna.
He can't score 45.
Yeah.
And if you can limit him in that regard, at least become a little bit more predictable, get them into down and distance scenarios. Thank you, Captain Obvious. That'll make things easier on your secondary as they're trying to figure everything out on Sunday. And Matt, kind of the biggest individual matchup in that regard to me, I mean, it's got to be Cam Hayward, right?
Oh, yeah.
A guy who is, I know this might surprise some people, but he's actually, you tweeted this out this morning, he's the third highest graded defensive player behind Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett.
But for Pro Football Focus.
He also, it's a small sample size, it's only been a couple games, but he has had Quentin Nelson's number over the course of their career.
Yeah.
That, to me, is a big highlight it, circle it matchup. If Cam can do his thing there, that would mean a lot for the rest of the trenches, which would mean a lot for the rest of the defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a one-on-one heavyweight fight.
It's Tyson and Ali.
Yeah, and they're going to square off many snaps because Cam doesn't really move off that spot. You know where Nelson's going to be. He's the left guard. Now, Nelson's always been awesome, but the last couple of years he's been a little quieter. He hasn't been the best left guard in the league. He's not a every year All-Pro type guy. This year he's better than he's been the last couple of years. And I know I tweeted that out about Pro Football Focus, and I love Cam, and I think that I put it out there just so people, this whole defense stinks, everybody's terrible. No, that's not the case. Now, I don't think he's playing better than every defensive player on the planet besides Parsons and Garrett either. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty high praise.
That's very high
that would be
praise.
by far his best season of his awesome career. But that one-on-one matchup's still about as good as you're going to get, and you're going to get it a lot.
Yes, you are. That is one that is unavoidable. I mean, guys, it's not a wide receiver and a defensive back, and could you move this guy around, and those different things, and how do you get DK Metcalf away from Sauce Gardner, all those types of conversation. This is two grizzly bears in a phone booth.
Yeah.
and
you're right, they've done it before, and Cam has won more often than not.
He has, and hopefully that will continue, because like I said, Captain Obvious, the trenches are massively important on every Sunday, Thursday, Monday, whenever the game is played, every matchup, but particularly in this one, particularly for the Steelers defense, because you have to at least make the Colts a little predictable.
Yep.
You have to at least win on first and second down in the run game, where Indianapolis has been doing a ton of winning. Matt, to speak to that.
Real quick, too, I mean, Nelson's their best lineman, but their O-line overall is definitely top 3. I mean, it's a very good group.
It's
well coached, and
certainly if you were power ranking the 32 offensive lines in the NFL, they might not be number 1, but you wouldn't get too far down that list
close,
until you would.
No one's playing better,
and especially right now.
Yeah.
Matt, and this speaks to that because you have a lot of success on first down. That means you're running the ball well. That means you're winning in the trenches. Mm-hmm. You're setting your offense up to move the sticks, to have a lot of success. The Colts offense on first downs in the NFL, second best in EPA, 4th best in success rate.
Yeah, and again, a lot of it's because they want your heavy personnel on the field. So this is something that I just want everyone to understand. I'll just take a quick sidebar. There's a linebacker shortage in the NFL. Just off the ball, Fred Warner, and then there's who knows who number 2 is. The Steelers are above average in that department.
Absolutely.
I still believe that. I still believe that, no matter how the defense has played the last 2 games. So this has been a Shanahan thing forever. This is why Juszczyk's so important, and Kittle, and they don't go 3 wide because they want to make teams put linebackers on the field. I mean, that is an offensive-minded thing is how can we get this team to put as many linebackers on the field?
What's the weakest position group amongst
Nobody's good at
defenses
this
in the NFL? Off-ball linebacker.
No one's good at it.
Let's make them keep 2 of those guys on the field.
And maybe even 3.
Yeah.
I mean, which is rare. But, I mean, yes. We don't want you in your dime and putting defensive backs out there or extra pass rushers. So they're really good about that. And that's when they use their 13 personnel a lot, too, is to keep you in personnel groups to their liking. And they make you kind of play left-handed out of it. And the Steelers have to be very aware of that, which I'm sure they are. Don't get me wrong.
It better be.
But this team's really, really good at it.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
They certainly are. They are really good at offense.
They're good at everything right now.
I mean, they are. They've got 1 or 2 areas of the defense where it feels like they're a little suspect.
They're okay. Yeah,
they're
right.
okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say bad, just maybe they haven't been challenged.
Right. And playing with a lead really helps, too. It absolutely does.
100%. And I also think that's part of, listen, their second, and we'll get to this on the other side in a minute, their secondary gives up, again, like the 5th most yards in the NFL.
Yeah.
I do think part of that is kind of chicken or an egg thing of they're playing with a lead so often, so teams are throwing against them.
I mean, the 4th quarter, Buckner's got a baseball cap on, and they're playing the Titans last week, and Ward's getting some garbage time.
Exactly right.
So some of these numbers get skewed a little because the late in game stuff doesn't matter because they beat everyone so much. One thing I wanted to mention about their offense, though, and this is by no means discrediting what they've done, but their play caller, Steichen, he's kind of on a roll right now, too.
Boy, is he.
Call
him Butter because he's on a roll.
Yeah, he's really good. The offense is the best in the league. I'm not saying, but he's also that hitter that every pitch looks like a beach ball. He can't do anything wrong right now. He'd probably even sit here and tell you that.
He's shooting free throws, and the basket is like 3 times the size.
He's like, this is as good as it gets. And that's bound to get back to the means a little bit. You know what I mean?
And again, hopefully you're the team that can do that.
Right.
They have maybe get some frustrations creeping into their game that they haven't faced yet this season.
And they've been really healthy on offense.
And they certainly have. They certainly
I'm
have.
Not begging for injuries, but see if they can overcome something if it's in game,
Let's hope that transpires, certainly. So there's kind of a 5-Star Friday focus. Steelers defense, Colts offense. When we come back to kick off hour number 2, we'll spin the block. We'll talk Steelers offense against the Colts defense. More thoughts, more numbers from Matt here as we continue to break down the big one Sunday at Acrisure Stadium. Matt, let's continue with 5-Star Friday here.
Yes.
Like I said, let's spin the block now and talk about Steelers offense against this Colts defense. Okay, so not a pushover.
No, it's not a pushover.
But not as daunting as the Indianapolis offense.
Agreed.
So is this I
don't even think it's one of the best defenses they've faced this year.
I agree
I
with
put New England, Seattle, Cleveland, probably the Packers. I mean, yeah, and those are all really good. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's a good defense. It's not an overwhelming defense.
And we talked about this a little bit in the open of the show when I was trying not to suffocate myself in that Halloween mask. But how do you go about, what's your big personnel usage look like this? 12 personnel, 13 personnel, 6 offensive lineman package. And we'll dig into it, but from a 30,000-foot view, from a macro view, where is the best area to attack? What is the best way to attack this Indianapolis defense?
Yeah, and again, I don't have a great vibe for that other than try to make them do what they don't want to do. They want to be in nickel. I mean, they'll always, when in doubt, they'll go to nickel. That's where they're most comfortable, and that's not uncommon.
That's like
league.
their base.
That's their
personnel,
base. It really is. I mean, there's teams that live in nickel no matter what.
Buffalo's like that.
Yeah, and it's a nice world to live in if you have the athletes to do it. That you can be big and little at the same time without substituting. Like I don't know the NBA well, but
Positionless basketball.
People say that if you have a defense that doesn't have to sub when they put their bigs in, versus their little guys, well, you're in a good spot, And I think Indy kind of looks at themselves that way. But if you're going to come out in 13, I would expect, and this isn't uncommon in any game, and this is why teams script, but I would think you'll see a wide variety of offensive personnel groups to see what forces them to go to base. We're going to put 12 out there. Oh, we got nickel. Well, what if we put 12 with Freiermuth and Washington as opposed to Freiermuth and Smith? Okay, they're still in nickel. What if we throw all three out there? Are they still in nickel?
Sure.
What if we throw all three in extra offensive linemen? Are they still in nickel? To the point where we're going to be bigger and badder than you, and we want to get your big people on the field. And I also think the less defensive backs they have on the field, the harder it is to help those corners that are suspect. It's a below average group of corners, and not really their fault. They got kind of hit by injury and retirements and things like that.
Yeah. And again, that's where I struggle with their, bottom of the basement NFL pass defense rankings.
Yeah.
Is it the fact that you can make some hay there? Is it the fact that, as we said in the previous hour, they're just playing with a lead so often that teams are throwing the ball against them, which
It's certainly true.
Inflates that number. I do think it's probably probably a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. But I think what's most appealing, other than the cornerback situation, is they definitely have a history of not really getting off the field particularly well. As good as their offense is, and I know they score quickly at times, they're not a great time possession team. That stat that I cite in my packet every week about turning a new set of downs or a set of downs into a new set of downs, they're right at the bottom of the league with that. So they definitely allow a lot of plays to be run, which I like that part. I'll be honest. I think there's a chance that there's a lot of points scored in this game. It might be like 38-35.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I know you've made this joke before, so not to step on your toes, but it feels like the proverbial, everything used to be erased to 20 with the Pittsburgh Steelers for the last handful of years.
And their numbers coming into the season, like over the last 5 years, if they got to 20, if the defense didn't allow 20, they almost always won.
Correct. Whereas now
it's changed drastically.
You scored 31 in Cincinnati, and it wasn't enough to get it done. You scored 25 against Green Bay, and you lost by 2 possessions by double digits. And, Matt, it is the third highest over-under.
Is it?
No, pardon me. Third. I was right. Third highest over-under of the Sunday slate is this one at 50.5. The only ones that are higher are Chiefs and Bills. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
And Bears and Bengals.
They don't play defense.
Because they don't play defense.
Yeah. Bengals are always going to be high.
So I am with you on that. We'll obviously, at the end of this hour, give our final score predictions. But, yeah, it ain't going to be 17-14. It ain't going to be your favorite 13-9 joke to make at my expense all the time.
And you just can't view it that way coming into the game and coach that way and just assume that that's how the game's going to go, because it's very unlikely to right now.
And I think you phrased it in a perfect way when we were talking to Missy Matthews in the first hour. The way the offensive line is played, the way Jaylen Warren is played, the confidence that they certainly have in DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin and maybe now in Roman Wilson as well. And the tight ends that it hasn't been consistent, but they've all had their moments where they've shown.
Collectively, they've been.
Collectively.
It's been a strong room.
I don't even want to say that this is the week that you cut it loose, because you don't go from. The numbers back this up. The 32nd of 32 teams in terms of conservative play calling and fourth down aggressiveness and that type of thing, to all of a sudden into the top 5 or the top 10. But there's got to be more of a trust factor with that offensive line now. There's got to be more of a trust factor with everybody else, all the other playmakers, running backs, tight ends, wide receivers around Aaron Rodgers.
And you got 2 months of working with Rodgers, too.
Let's see it. Again, I'm not saying you go Dan Campbell and every fourth down that's not fourth and long, we're going for it and hyper aggressive. But let's meet in the middle somewhere.
I think you don't default to punting or field goals or 4th and 1.
The Boz can make this, no problem. Let's just take the points.
Yeah, I think that's not a losing, but a risky way to play this game. And again, I might try a fake punt or something goofy. I know you can't do surprise on sides anymore, but somewhere I want to steal one, especially if I haven't been winning the turnover battle drastically. Now, I don't mind if they throw quite a bit because a lot of their quick throws, the Rodgers throws, are high completion. They do keep the clock moving. But I also can't live with you're running the ball well, you come out of the half, and Warren gets 3 carries in the second half. Ain't going to cut it. I mean, you're just begging to put your defense in a bad situation, and they're already in a bad situation.
That's something that you and I have discussed a couple times this week. I talked about that on DVE today with Chad Tyson. I do this quick hitter thing, just a short, 3-4 minute with Chad Tyson, where he fires off a bunch of Steeler questions.
Rapid fire, yeah.
And one of them was along the lines of how do you protect this defense? How do you insulate this defense? And I was like, I understand. Every time we bring this up, I was like, I might need more than 20 seconds to answer this question.
Yeah, this is a big picture thing.
Because every time we bring this up, everyone's like, well, how can you blame the offense? They're the side of the football that's doing their job.
They are.
We're not blaming the offense.
No.
But
it's a team game.
It's a team game.
Yeah.
And in the same way, Matt, I used this example with you earlier in the season. I always remember that it was 2 or 3 years ago when the Steelers went down to Miami for Sunday Night Football. And they lost a 17-14, 19-13, whatever the final score was, a low-scoring game to Miami, where Kenny Pickett threw 3 interceptions, the last one really bad when the Steelers had a chance to win the game. And the Steelers defense kept them in it.
Yeah.
But they didn't force the splash plays. And Mike Tomlin at his post-game press conference, the first thing he said was, well, the difference in that game was their defense got takeaways and ours didn't. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, Coach, really? Your quarterback threw 3 interceptions.
You only scored 14 points.
The last one really bad when you had a chance to win the game, and we're going to throw the defense under the bus. But then when you step back and think about it, it's not throwing that he knows what it takes for them to win.
Yeah.
He doesn't expect he doesn't expect the offense. It's the defense who has to grab the other unit by the collar and drag them to victory. Whereas when he spoke on this Tuesday and he talked about we got to get in the end zone more often as opposed to settling for threes. I'm hoping that shoe is on the other foot now, that it has to be the offense. It's not blaming the offense, but it's saying, hey, at this point in time, we expect more from you. We need more from you.
You're right, because you're the better unit.
Because you're the better unit.
I mean, and the defense was the better unit then in the Miami game. I'm certain of it.
Absolutely.
And it's got to be hard for him, because it's been half a decade where you've had to play a certain way week after week, 17 games a year, and then into the playoffs, and that's a tough way to live. But you knew we can't lose a turnover battle. We can't leave up 20 points. The numbers that back that stuff up are crazy over a 5-year stretch. Basically, since Ben's elbow surgery is if you lose a turnover battle, you lose. If you give up 20, you lose. Okay, well, at least I know what lane I have to stay in. The lanes have changed.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have.
And and I know a lot of people that are listening to this, whether you're listening, live on SNR, back in podcast mode, whether you hopped onto YouTube to see Matt and I's goofy Halloween intro, you're probably thinking, well, the Steelers coaching staff, Mike Tomlin, they're stubborn. They dig their heels in and they do it their way.
Right.
And to an extent, I'm not going to push back on that.
Sure.
But he coached and they operated completely, we talk about the last 5 years and how it needs to start to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Before those 5 years, it was when it was Ben,
super aggressive.
When it was Ben, when it was Bell, when it was Brown, when it was
one of the
best offenses in the league.
Yeah,
they operated as we got to score 30-some points a game to win.
No, they did things like score on the opening
drive and go for 2.
Go for 2. Yeah, exactly.
When you have Ben, a Hall of Fame quarterback, and AB, antics off the field aside, a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Oh, he's going.
Lev Bell, who was, he was
the best back in the league
was
for
the
3 years.
best back in the league for a handful of years. You had a offensive line with, I don't know if Pouncey or DeCastro ever get into the Hall of Fame, but they're in the Hall of really good.
They're in the Ring of Honor.
Exactly right. And Al Villanueva was a 2-time Pro Bowler, and Ramon Foster was really good. Heath Miller,
right.
I mean, they were able to switch their philosophy from the typical Mike Tomlin way of playing.
I know.
Before that and after that, it's been bookended by this: score 20 points, hold them to just 1 or 2 touchdowns. That is the one part of this that gives me some optimism, gives me some faith. I've seen Mike Tomlin change his hand of cards before.
Yeah, I think people forget that it's
been a while.
possible.
It's
right?
been a while, but we
a while.
have seen them do it before. And I'm not even saying again that it has to be that drastic now, but maybe it's time to start.
You got to lean more.
Hey, for 5 years we had red paint and we painted the barn red, but now we have blue paint and we got to start painting some of these panels blue.
Yeah, and in some ways, that's good. You actually have a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like,
you got an offense that can score 30.
Right. If this was the offense from that Pickett Miami game,
my goodness,
they'd be one-win team. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have the ability to change. At least they do.
So they do.
And oh, by the way, the defense can play better.
Certainly.
I mean, that's allowed too.
That is absolutely allowed, and in fact, it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not even saying that the defense has to get to preseason expectations where they're one of the best units in the league. But if they can
it can't be one of the worst.
If they can be average on defense,
yeah,
and what this offense is doing, I mean, that's how you get back into winning some games and feeling like we felt about this team a couple weeks ago when they were sitting at 4-1 and looked like they had a clear path to hosting a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
And here we go, final segment of the week. That means we've got to predict how Steelers, Colts will play out. But before we get to that, we have got the final practice report of the week for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Matt, some less than encouraging news here. Ruled out at this point already. Scotty Miller with that finger injury. He didn't practice all week. That's not a surprise.
It doesn't bother me much, yeah.
But Corey Trice has been ruled out.
So he's not going to get activated.
He is not, as has Jabril Peppers, ruled out for Sunday's matchup with a quadricep injury.
Did we know he was banged up?
He was limited yesterday.
Okay.
Remember, we said that. He was.
I had high hopes for what he'd be doing. And
I did as well, too.
Okay.
I did as well, too. Good news is Kyle Duggar has been a full practice participant Thursday and Friday, so he's listed.
No idea what capacity, but
no
he's going to play.
idea what capacity but he's going to play. Cole Holcomb is questionable with that illness still that we talked about that he was dealing with yesterday. Malik Harrison is questionable. He's been a full participant all week in practice,
Just
but
choose to activate him or not. Yeah.
Same with Will Howard.
Yeah.
Chuck Clark listed as questionable as well, too, with an illness. So I wonder if it's
more
the same
safety
thing.
Stuff. So much safety stuff.
So much.
Yeah.
And again, I know we're not, crazy high on the way he's been playing as of late, but if you're down Peppers.
And Duggar doesn't know what he's doing
Duggar doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
And Chuck Clark's dealing with an illness, and you don't have Deshaun Elliott, obviously. You're like, how many bodies do we have here?
There might be more Ramsey at safety than I even thought.
It's starting to look that way, just out of necessity.
Right.
Good news, no injury designation for Isaac Seumalo.
That was the one I was most interested in.
No injury designation for Zach Frazier.
Sure.
No injury designation for Pat Freiermuth, who, remember, popped up with a quadricep issue on the practice report as well.
I think the CMO stuff's huge, and I do think you'll see a lot of the massive jumbo package, yeah.
Especially if the Colts are going to dig their heels in and stick in nickel like they like to do.
Yeah.
Bring that corned beef out, baby. Let's roll.
Okay.
Sunday, 1 o'clock, Matt, Acrisure Stadium. I mean, this is another one of those. The game of the week is the Chiefs and the Bills, but this
not far behind.
This is not far behind. The 7-1 best record in the league, Indianapolis Colts. The Steelers, who have lost 2 games in a row and are looking to hand Indianapolis a rare loss. The Colts, 3.5-point favorites on the North Shore Sunday afternoon.
You want to pick up first?
I'm going 31-28 Indianapolis. Matt, I've been saying this all year. Steelers have played 7 games. I've picked them to win all 7.
I have too.
And I said when we were in Dublin, I was going to pick the Vikings. The energy here switched me around. I'm not going to be the ultimate homer and pick this team to go 17-0, right?
Sure.
I will pick them to lose at some point. Almost did it last week, but I thought the Aaron Rodgers magic
I let
dust,
emotion change me for Vikings and Packers. One worked, one didn't.
And I started to do some of that this week. I was like, it's the Super Bowl 40 reunion, and this team is when everyone's written them off. Everyone's written them off is when Mike Tomlin and his teams typically do their best work. I got to go with Indy. 31-28. As much as I hate to do it,
I'm taking the Colts. I'm picking against the Steelers for the first time as well. I just think the Colts are a really good football team and truly are the best offense in the league. You're going to have to show me more on defense for me to say anything's fixed on that side of the ball. I just think they're very easy to attack. Now, they could definitely play. I expect them to play better than the last 2 weeks, but I got to see it first. And my score's not very kind. 36-23. I can see a lot of points in this game. I'm more confident about the 36 side of it than the 23 because I think that 23 could be pretty high. I could see them getting a 28. I could see the Steelers getting a 30. I just don't know. No one's stopped this offense yet.
No.
And the Steelers really haven't stopped anybody lately. So I'm going with the precedent. I know it's harsh.
As Bob Labriola put it, this is a franchise that has struggled in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I like
over
that
the last
stuff.
50 years. Hopefully some of that voodoo will pop its head in, rear its ugly head for Indianapolis in this one.
I'd like to see the field goal kicker miss a kick or two.
I'd like to see a field goal kicker miss a kick or two. I'd like to see Boswell only attempt one or two
Right.
as well. And who knows? I have this weird feeling. You said this last week. I'm going to reverse it this week. You said last Friday you picked the Steelers to win, but you said don't be surprised if we come in here on Monday and we're talking about a lopsided Packers win.
Mm-hmm.
You ready for this? I'm picking the Colts to win. But don't be surprised if we come in here talking about a big-time Steelers win.
It would fit.
It would a 10-point win would 33-23, something like that.
And it'd be like, and if that happens, I bet we're saying Watt had 3 sacks. Steelers ended
Ramsey
up with
had an
6.
Interception.
Then they were +2.
Cam Hayward ate Quentin Nelson's lunch for 60 minutes.
I know he's not in the game, but Killebrew blocks a punt.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like one of those type of games.
Punt,
Right.
Peyton Wilson blocks a punt or something on special teams.
Right. That would not shock me either.
For whatever reason, I was thinking that. I was
kind
thinking
of the kind of games they win.
You know, I've told you this. The 2 times that I really think about the show are when I'm in the shower.
Yeah.
Okay, that paints a picture.
Right.
And when I'm driving here every day in the car. And I was like, you know what? I think the Colts are going to win. But a 2-possession Steelers victory would not surprise me either.
Or even just squeaking one out. Maybe they weren't the better team that day even. And Boz hits one from midfield to win it, you know?
We shall see. But it'll be a lot of fun regardless.
I'm excited about it.
Halloween weekend, alumni weekend. Let's get some voodoo rolling in our direction, get back in the win column here. But regardless, win, lose, or draw, we'll be back to break it down for you on Monday, as always.
You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the Black and Gold. Steelers Nation Radio.